Great American Landowner. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 532 Anal Sex. It's different. Their living conditions are not like those of farmers. They have social security and insurance. They don't need to spend much money on medical treatment when they are sick, and they have time to rest every week. Some dirty and tiring work is done by South Americans and Latin Americans. Zhou said a few words about some of the farm's conditions. Aren't these people too comfortable? Huang Zhangaiyu looked at Zhou questioningly. That's not the case. Cowboys are also very hard at ordinary times. It's just that those South Americans and Latin Americans do work for a long time and don't have much time to rest at ordinary times. Unlike them, they have fixed working hours and even overtime pay. Westerners are really stratified. Cheng Fei sighed. Haha. This is very normal. Think about it in China. Some dirty and tiring work is done by migrant workers, and even cleaning work is the same. Locals have jobs and get a pretty good salary, but they contract the work to others. As long as they pay 1/3 or less of the money, they can get money without working. Zhou said. You can't think like that. Our government also has difficulties. It was not easy for people to get each job before. Now that someone can accept the contracting salary they offer, they can also get some relief and create jobs. Isn't this the best way? Huang Zhangaiyu explained casually. It's just that the country is losing money. Cheng Fei said with a smile. Okay, let's not talk about this. Several people turned the topic over. What were you two talking about just now? My business? Zhou suddenly remembered that they seemed to be talking about his business. Cheng Fei suddenly remembered. Yes, I would have forgotten if you didn't say it. Well, Lao Cheng, tell Jess. Huang Zhangaiyu also said with a smile. Do you still remember the two white faces that Lao Huang told you about? Cheng Fei asked. Zhou nodded. Yeah, remember. An old white face and a little white face. Didn't you say they have already? Well, they still have to stay in there for 3 days. Cheng Fei said. What's wrong? What's so funny about these two people? Zhou asked curiously. Cheng Fei was holding back his laughter, but when he wanted to speak, he laughed automatically again. Haha, I can't take it anymore. Wait for me a moment. My stomach hurts a little from laughing. Cheng Fei said, holding his stomach. Huang Zhangaiyu found it funny and said to Zhou, forget it, let me tell you. Zhou nodded. Huang, you tell me. Yesterday, the people inside spread a message that this pretty boy and the old pretty boy met in a cell and happened to stay with an arranged person. Huang Zhangaiyu took a sip of coffee when he said this. The two started fighting as soon as they met and broke the news that one of them was a pretty boy and the other was an old pretty boy. Yeah. Zhou nodded to show that he understood. Now he was more and more interested. This was not a good thing in there. As a result, that guy instigated them, and these two people are unlucky. The pretty boy was held down and fucked in the ass from behind while taking a shower. Puff, cough cough. Zhou just took a sip, and now it all came out. Fortunately, there was no one on the other side, and he just pinched his neck and felt a little uncomfortable. He choked and coughed a few times. What? He fucked in the ass from behind. Zhou looked ridiculous when he said this. He took out his two hands, one of them slightly clenched a hole, and the other stretched out a finger, and moved it back and forth to demonstrate to them. Huang Zhangaiyu also nodded with a smile. Well, I heard that the gentle pretty boy named Gao he was hit on the wall several times. The murderer let Gao he go as soon as the supervisor was about to come, so he escaped. More than 30 people in the room saw it, but no one tried to stop it. The pretty boy warned people not to tell anyone, otherwise a minor would beat him up. Anyway, he would end up in a juvenile detention center, and he really wouldn't be locked up for long. As a result, the man was scared and didn't dare to tell anyone. At night, they took advantage of the supervisor's night patrol time, and several people used soap to lubricate and rape the pretty boy again. Zhou felt so relieved when he heard it. Oh my god, this is too much. What happened next? What happened next? Later? Later, the man shouted loudly, and the supervisor happened to pass by and went down to ask. But there was only this person's one-sided statement, and more than 30 people did not admit that he had raped anyone. In the end, we just changed the room, and it was over. In fact, everyone knew about this. The room he was in was also reported to the service personnel who delivered meals. He immediately became a rat crossing the street, squatting next to the cesspool, to do cleaning every day. During ideological study, the head of the class wouldn't let him go to the toilet, so he had to hold it in until he was about to cry. People only let him go because they thought there was a stink of shit when he slept at night. Zhou didn't have any sympathy when he heard this. He punished him a little for a few days, which was also revenge for the female comrades he had deceived before. He was relieved for this matter. Besides, it wasn't him who did it. As for that old white-faced man, the people inside really couldn't do it. He looked like that, and it really looked like his, but didn't seem to have any intention of getting up. This old white-faced man is now cleaning the toilet, washing clothes and dishes every day. It's considered a good labor education. Cheng Fei felt that the following things were less funny, so he continued, but at night, he dare not close his eyes when sleeping with the people next to him. Now, if someone touches his butt, he thinks someone is going to blow his ass. He immediately shouted loudly. He was really scared to death. Haha. Evil really pays off. Zhao Jixi said happily. At this time in the detention center, the old white-faced man was in the same room with one of his men. This was someone who came in a few days ago. They changed rooms through the light system and came here, and it happened to work well. The little white-faced gayo, he was even more unlucky. He happened to be in the same room with Biozi. He really had no peace for the past 7 days. Now he was squatting not far from the toilet, squatting, feeling really aggrieved. He touched his painful butt with his hand. He didn't know if his butthole was sensitive these days, but he always felt a little strange. Chapter 533 to Unlucky People Asking for Monthly Tickets. Biozi glanced at him out of the corner of his eye. He didn't want this pretty boy to have a good life these days. He always had to borrow someone else's hand to make things happen for him. The hard currency in the detention center is cigarettes and food. For those suspects who have no money, the food bought by rich people is also a good hard currency. The food in the detention center is really too little oil and water. Even a box of rice every day is useless. Meat is only eaten a few times a week, and the soup is just a few leaves and some fat meat. There is not much oil at all. So you can always eat a lot of food in there, but still feel not full. Those suspects outside who have money to rush to the card can go shopping once a week. Buy some vacuum-packed chickens and ducks and braised meats, as well as instant noodles, biscuits, drinks, fruits, etc. For those who have to stay here for a minimum of 4 or 5 days and a maximum of 30 days, it is really a good life after having food. Get up on time, eat on time, exercise, study, clean personal hygiene, then take a lunch break, read the newspaper, take a bath, and sleep. One day passed in a cycle. In addition to not having freedom, more than 30 people could only wander around in a room of more than 60 square meters every day. When they were out for exercise, they could make calls to the people next door. They had to be careful not to be seen by the guards. Then they had to bask in the sun and sunbathe their heads to avoid getting sick. In fact, these days were really good. After 30 days, if they were convicted, they would go directly to prison. If they were not convicted, they would be released first, which was also a good thing. Those who only had a few days of imprisonment were also locked up with the suspects here, so they could only pray that they would not meet people who were upset. That would definitely not be a pleasant thing. Those who had no money to go in could only get an egg and a spoonful of braised beans every 2 mornings. This was happiness. When looking forward to the special meat every week, they could only look at those dishes with luncheon meat, pickled mustard and a hand-torn chicken mixed together with envy. Or those who had chicken legs and duck legs, while some of them only wanted vegetable soup with a few drops of oil floating in them. Biozi didn't come in to take the position of squad leader. He just relied on food to gather a few people to eat with him. And these few people immediately formed a small group, spreading their influence to the outside world. At night, they also got acquainted with many people in the room by smoking. Sometimes they expressed that they didn't like the gigolo or provoked the inmates whose women were taken away by the gigolo. Of course, in fact, they themselves were rubbish, which was why the women ran away with others or broke up with them. These people were naturally unhappy with the gigolos, and Geo he had enough hatred for the gigolos. So the life of the gigolo was not easy. In this case, anyone could yell at him, and he could only pretend to be a grandson. Even the robber and rapist with the lowest status in the room had a higher status than him. He was unanimously recognized as the scumbag in the room. The old gigolo Tanjan was even more unlucky. There was a person with infectious skin disease in the room, and the squad leader arranged to sleep with him, and there was a drug addict on the right. It was impossible to get powder inside, so he could only enter the most primitive drug control process. So he was hot and cold every day, and some of his body functions were out of control. He couldn't control his feces and urine, and sometimes he would get it on the old white face. For a place without hot water for bathing, this situation couldn't be worse. In 3 or 4 days, he has now contracted a skin disease, and his body is full of the smell of feces and urine. Other prisoners almost come once every 7 or 8 days. In the past few days, he felt that he was going crazy. He had to take a cold shower almost every day, otherwise the smell on his body was really unbearable. The consequence of this cold and fever was predictable. As the most popular cold medicine and anti-inflammatory medicine in the prison, which cost 5 cents a pill and $1 a piece, he now almost treats them as candy. He is afraid that one day he will have a fever and burn his brain, which will really defeat him. It seems that everyone in the world is against him. He really regrets returning to this city and regrets why he went to find his ex-wife again. He regretted his past and his ignorance. A businessman who could achieve a certain scale must have a complex social network, and he still fantasized that he was just bullying a weak woman. How naive, too naive. In fact, they didn't know that all this was just an accident. If Zhou didn't know about this, he wouldn't find someone to teach them a lesson. If Zhou had time, he wouldn't bring them in to prevent accidents in those days, and there wouldn't be one of them being anally exploded, and one of them having a skin disease that made people disgusted. Let's not talk about these 2 unlucky guys first, and go back to Zhou. The 3 of them chatted happily, and it was afternoon before they knew it. A few people made an appointment and went out for dinner, and by the way, they found Jiang and a few other friends. In the afternoon, a few people started to fight, and there was another melee at the wine table. These people in Mengdi, friends have to drink a bowl first, and they all drink white wine. Zhou never refuses anyone who comes, and puts all the former wine gods and wine immortals on the ground. He won again by cheating, and finally got a little drunk. He stood on the dining table in the box and sang, King Haiti but Plateau. Those who were lying on the table, or under the table were shocked. Good. The singing is great. I don't know who applauded first. Everyone shouted drunkenly, and then followed like a wolf howling. In the end, it was still the hotel's proprietress who took a few male waiters to take a few people to the room to rest. Zhou's security consultant Martin was still guarding outside his door diligently. He put a lot of effort in moving these drunks. However, due to the language barrier, his cold look, hooked nose, sharp eyes and villain face, no one in the hotel dared to go over and say a few more words to him. Not long after he guarded, Miko brought other bodyguards to take over. An afternoon passed, and by the evening, the group gradually sobered up. However, when a man went out to the toilet, he saw so many tall and strong foreigners staring at him outside the door, and he immediately thought he was still dreaming. This dream is really strange. After muttering, he immediately closed the door again, but he was still holding his urine. After realizing it, he was so uncomfortable that he stomped his feet. Chapter 534. Are you dreaming? But he didn't dare to pee. Everyone has experienced this when they were young. When they thought they were peeing in a safe place, they were actually peeing in their dreams, which is commonly known as bedwetting. I can't wake up from this dream. Wake up quickly. If you don't wake up, I will really pee. That would be a big loss. He rubbed himself, but didn't wake up. Instead, he woke up Zhou and others next to him. Old Zhu, what are you doing? He Jiang couldn't help asking. Yeah, old ZHU, are you shaking off your fat? Old ZHU looked at the few people strangely. You are also in my dream? I'm so depressed that I can't wake up. I'm so anxious. Is he still drunk? Zhao Jixi turned around and asked He Jiang. He Jiang nodded and said, I think so too. I don't care about you. I'll go to the toilet first. He stood up and walked out, but when his brother opened the door, he immediately closed it. He turned around and said to them, I don't think I'm awake yet. What's wrong with you? Zhao Jixi looked at the two strangely. There's a group of foreigners outside. They stared at me when I opened the door. Do you think I'm dazzled? Leo ZHU said first. What? You saw foreigners too? He Jiang looked strange, and then he opened the door directly. The appearance of Zhao Jixi's bodyguards entered his eyes. Zhao Jixi glanced over and saw them. He immediately laughed and cried, and didn't bother to worry about how these people came here. Go and let them go. Those are my bodyguards outside. Do you really think we haven't woken up yet? The two became even more confused. It's over. This is a dream. It's all nonsense. Martin, don't block the door. These two gentlemen want to go out. Zhao Jixi shouted directly. Okay, boss. Martin motioned the two people around to move away. He Jiang and Leo ZHU saw Zhao Jixi babble in English, and the people outside made way, but this made them feel more like they were dreaming. Do you really want me to slap you to wake up? Zhao Jixi said to the two speechlessly. Finally, the boss lady came and woke up the two people who had not yet woken up. Looking at the two people who hurried to drain the water, Zhao Jixi and Huang Zhangaiu Chengfei and others who woke up later laughed so hard that their stomachs hurt. Did you see Leo ZHU's expression just now? He looked constipated, and his mouth was so big that an egg could be stuffed in it. Hey, it's a pity that I didn't take a picture, otherwise it would be fun to watch it later. Chengfei said with a smile, and at the end he shook his head with a look of regret. After several people woke up, of course they had to drink some wine, and drinking wine on wine is called sobering up. The activities in the evening were also simple, and then they drank and ate, and then Chengfei was familiar with the place, and took everyone to the sauna to soak their feet. But this time, no special service was requested. Everyone had been drinking all day, and no one was in the mood for that. Besides, there were activities in the evening, so it was not the time to have fun. There was a KTV upstairs in this entertainment city, and the equipment was quite good in this city. After washing and soaking, and massaging for 2 hours, to relax their muscles and bones, they all went upstairs to roar. The colorful lights still seemed a bit dim. Chengfei booked the largest private room, and ordered beer and white wine. They didn't like to drink any foreign wine, but for Zhao Jixi, all wines were the same, that is, red wine. He could pretend to taste it. Everyone, drink well today, sing well. Our brother who just returned to China, drink a few more bottles, of course, a few pounds is also fine. Chengfei took the microphone to stir up the atmosphere. Okay. Everyone responded with a smile. Only Zhao Jixi pointed at Chengfei with a wry smile. This guy was just using him as a target. Everyone sat down with a smile. There were 2 knocks on the door. Everyone knew who it was, so they just asked them to come in. Suddenly, a middle-aged mother came with a group of girls wearing mink clothes, but the clothes were open on the outside, revealing a tight dress that reached the thighs, which wrapped up the girls' figures. Most of these girls were of good height, and not too bad looking. Some of them were quite surprising. The girls who put on makeup on their faces had more 3-dimensional features, and looked more attractive under the dim light. Zhao Jixi's group had played before, so there was nothing to be embarrassed about. He had just come back, and the brothers asked him to pick 2 first. He was humble for a while, and then started to pick. There were more than 20 girls in a group, and they didn't seem crowded in their box. They stood there in a row, showing their white thighs and 2 big peaks. The brightest thing is that men's eyes feel that they are not enough. Looking at that one, they feel that the breasts are extremely big, and there must be an uncontrollable pleasure when touching them. Looking at another one over there, with a delicate face and long legs, even if the breasts are only B cups, they still nod at everyone. Girls, say hello to the masters. Seeing that these people are picking, Mamami let this group of girls show up. Master, the servants greet you. This work is done neatly and orderly, and the benefits of bending down and bowing reveal the white areas. This woman is bottomless, so fierce, and has great breasts. Cheng Fei stood next to Zhao Jixi. He has been here many times, but every time he sees a girl here, he has a new feeling. Forget it. If you really like big breasts, go to the United States to find them. It's too common. There are 3 or 4 women with 2 papaya-like breasts over there in 10, and the rest are E or D, C, which is not a big deal in the United States. Zhao Jixi said in Cheng Fei's ear. Cheng Fei immediately laughed. Damn, it seems that I must go to your place to play next time. I have never been out of this country. The farthest I have been is to travel in China. My experience is really too short. Okay, it's settled now. You must arrange a time to come. Just bring someone with you. I will take care of everything else. Food, drink, and entertainment are all provided for you. Zhao Jixi said, patting his chest. Cheng Fei was not polite. It turned out that when Zhao Jixi was playing here, He Jiang took Zhao Jixi to get acquainted with them. They went to eat, drink and have fun together, but they all provided one-stop service, and they would not let Zhao Jixi spend money no matter what. Chapter 535, Choosing a Girl. They said they were at home, but they still wanted their brother to pay. Isn't this a slap in their faces? Now that they were in the United States, Jay Chou would certainly not let them spend money. He would cover all the expenses. As for the expenses and the unequal exchange rate, let's not talk about whether Jay Chou cared about the money. Their friendship alone was much more valuable. Good brother. Then I will go to your place to eat a big meal next time. I welcome you very much. I will definitely make a room for you. Haha. The two of them laughed while chatting. I said, I asked you to choose a lady, not to have sex with a woman standing there hugging a man. You need to chat more. Old Zhu is tall and fat. He wants to touch the woman when he sees her. Not to mention that he agreed to let Jay Chou choose the one first, and she is waiting for him now. You are the one who is anxious. Old Zhu, don't be too anxious later. If you are not careful, you will lose control and go home without food and grass to pay the bills at night. I hope your wife will punish you. Don't go to my house to sleep again. Cheng Fei looked at old Zhu and teased with a smile. Go, am I such a person who doesn't insist? Don't put your shortcomings on me. Old Zhu also refuted. The two teased each other, making the girls on the opposite side cover their mouths and laugh. Okay, don't embarrass yourself. You don't even have that shooting skill. You should practice more. Huang Zhangai also smiled and stopped the conversation between the two directly. Jess, look at those who are eye-catching. Zhao Jixi looked at the women over there, and there were really two who looked good, at least with the urge to go to the hotel for a romantic trip. Especially a girl licked her tongue and made her lips into a hollow touching shape, and her tongue was spinning in this circle. In addition, she looked good, with the face of an urban sexy woman, which was very attractive. Oh my god. Zhao Jixi subconsciously looked in the direction of his younger brother. You are in luck tonight. It seems that she is a very good massage expert. Cheng Fei just told him that the singing girls here can go out with people, as long as they agree, and the price is right. This girl is not bad. Her mother just told me that she just entered the industry and is short of money recently. If you think about it, she will go with you tonight. Maybe she thinks you are good and she is tempting you. Cheng Fei said beside Zhao Jixi. Cheng Fei pointed at a girl, and the one over there, the one wearing black mink. Her breasts are a little small, probably about a B cup, but small and sexy, and she has a pretty face. Her skin looks very smooth and white and rosy. She is really a good looking thing. Plus she has a perky butt. You will have a wonderful night if you turn over at night. You still understand me? Zhao Jixi laughed with Cheng Fei again. After eating so much meat for so long, now I eat vegetarian food to improve my taste, and these two people don't look too vegetarian. I have an idea, Cheng Fei said with a smile. Then he went to tell the mommy and ordered the numbers of the two girls. The two girls also looked a little surprised. It is common sense that girls love to be coquettish. Jess, if you say a few more words to this girl, maybe she will stick to you. He Jiang also joked beside him. These two just came here recently. You've got a good sign for this kind of people. Cheng Fei said with a smile. Are they still virgins? He Jiang asked. How is that possible, brother? This is not our era. Girls all follow the West and get pregnant before marriage or try love before marriage to get to know men in all aspects. In junior high school, and college, women give their first time every day. We are the last in line now. If you want to find a virgin, you should go to school and try the students. Cheng Fei said. The two girls walked to Zhao Jixi's side. Master. They shouted crisply in unison. The way you shout here is interesting. Zhao Jixi didn't have the idea of pretending to be a gentleman. He took the two girls' thin waists and smelled their hair. There was no smell that he hated. This is our specialty. Mommy said that if we want to strengthen our competitiveness, we must be distinctive and have personality. Although we are in the service industry, we must always remember to improve our professional skills. Only when consumers are satisfied can our wallets make us satisfied. The girl with the tight face said. Oh, what you said, yeah. Very thoughtful. Zhao Jixi stretched out his hand to wander around the girl's buttocks and said strangely. Master, this is all our director's instructions. Moms buy a few books and brag about it here. It's a good talk, but business is still the same as before, said the big-breasted girl. Sure enough, the breast brain is talking about people like you. Zhao Jixi let go of her waist with his right hand and pointed at the woman's breasts with his fingers. Master. The girl didn't want to give up and leaned her two big breasts against him and said coquettishly, I'm not stupid. Zhao Jixi was joking and talking here, and the brothers had also chosen, and they didn't bother to be polite with Cheng Fei, and each of them hugged two girls. The tips that the girls here have to give are not low. One has to be 2000 yuan, and high standard girls must have high consumption tickets. To some extent, it proves that the effective force is indeed mutual. Sir, what song do you want to sing? I'll give it to you. Although the busty girl's brain was a little slow to react, her positive attitude was still very good. Zhao Jixi patted her plump buttocks and said, let's sing C. Okay. The girl shook her buttocks and went to order a song. Zhao Jixi and several brothers toasted each other and had another round of drinks. 5, 15, 10. Zhao Jixi, who was playing finger guessing games, seemed to have loaded an external plugin. He won every time. Several people tried several times and kept avoiding him. This technique was really amazing. But Leo Zhu was not convinced and continued to play with him. Sir, see. The girl with the delicate face said. I'll sing first, and then. Zhao Jixi looked back and remembered that he didn't seem to know the girl's name. But the girl was also smart. Bibi I'm Bayo Bayo. The busty girl said with her chest pressing Zhao Jixi's right shoulder. Yes, let Bibi play with you first. If you lose, you owe me. I'll drink later. Oh. That's fine. You sing first. I'll play with the girl for a while. Leo Zhu also knew that he had to pick on the weak. He had just won so many games for Jay Chou, so he quickly won back a few games in a few minutes. Quick update Pure Text Chapter 536 Baby Bibi. Bibi is a bold woman. She pulled her sleeves up a little, waved her hand, and started playing with Leo Zhu. 5, 15. Leo Zhu left the two girls who were a little resentful beside him and started playing with Bibi just to respond to Zhao Jixi a few times and watch him drink in front of him. The big-breasted girl Bayo Bayo was cheering on the side. Come on, Bibi. The trembling big breasts were really distracting. 20. Drink it. Bibi won and immediately said to Leo Zhu. Yeah. Bibi is so awesome. If the sea can call back the love I once had, let me wait for it with my whole life. If you no longer miss the affectionate past, let it drift away with the wind. If the sea can take away my sorrow, just like taking away every river, all. Zhao Jixi hummed the song hard. The huge lung capacity in this life also gave him a great advantage in singing, even if he didn't have any skills. When he sang the asterisk part, he deliberately raised the pitch. He thought that singing directly sounded really high-end and classy. After the song was finished, well, the singing was amazing. Several men plus twice the number of girls. The applause from more than a dozen people was still very impactful in this box. Thank you everyone. I'm very happy today. Zhao Jixi said a few words in a fluent manner, and everyone clapped their hands to show their respect. Jess, don't say boo. Drink 3 glasses first. Huang Zhangaiyu said. Zhao Jixi didn't waste any words. He just picked up the white wine, poured a glass into his mouth, and drank it in one gulp, and then drank 2 more glasses, both of which he drank directly. Okay, refreshing. He Jiang clapped his hands and said. After He Jiang finished speaking, the King Hatibet plateau he ordered came, picked up the microphone, and put it to his lips and started singing. This rough man sang really tastefully, and Zhao Jixi thought it was good. Back to the seat, Bao took a piece of watermelon, and put it in his mouth. Zhao Jixi chewed it twice and swallowed it, suppressing the taste of alcohol in his mouth, touched her face and said, well, so good. Bao glanced at Zhao Jixi coquettishly, hateful. Well, I'm the most annoying. Zhao Jixi used his body to block the outside, smiled and reached out his hand again, grasped the pair of huge peaks, squeezed them twice, and reached his hand into the bra, to tease the little red dot. Bao's face was already red, and now the collarbone position also turned red. The body shrank back unconsciously, feeling a little uncomfortable. Zhao Jixi noticed some details and thought that maybe she was embarrassed, because there were so many people or something. He took his hand out, turned around and asked in the direction of Bibi and Leo Zhu, what's wrong? I want to drink a few cups, tell me the number. Leo Zhu glanced at Zhao Jixi with a wry smile, while Bibi smiled with her 2 small canine teeth showing. She turned around and asked Zhao Jixi for credit. Master, you didn't lose a single game. Your winning streak has continued, she said with a look of rewarding me. Haha. Zhao Jixi hugged her and kissed her. Good Bibi, I'll reward you with a sweet kiss too. Well. Bibi was sobbing and speechless. Zhao Jixi looked at Leo Zhu. Brother Zhu, you can't do this. I have already changed people, and you still can't win. I have no other choice. Leo Zhu was about to refute when the phone in his pocket rang. He didn't need to look at him and said, stop, your sister-in-law is calling. I'll take it first. Then Zhao Jixi signaled He Jiang, Huang Zhangaiyu and others to mute the singing. Zhao Jixi also said to the girls, okay, girls, don't talk or make any sound. Do you understand? The girls nodded. Hey, Leo Zhu, what are you doing? A female voice that seemed gentle, but contained other meanings came from the phone. Leo Zhu, hurry up and answer the phone, so that we can continue drinking. You just like to be sneaky. Are you pretending to be drunk now? He Jiang's drunken voice rang out loudly. Yes, Leo Zhu, you must drink today. Jess has finally come back once. If you don't drink, aren't you being unkind to your brother? Jess drank half a catty and went in. You are not being kind enough. Pretending to answer the phone. Leo Zhu pretended to cover the phone, but he only covered it a little. The voice on the other end could still be heard. No, it's really my wife calling. Bear with me, bear with me. Then he said to the phone, wife, what are you looking for me for? Didn't you say that you were going to drink with a few brothers today? It's okay, I just told you to drink less. Don't drink when they urge you to. Don't force yourself if you can't drink. Well, okay, got it. You take care of this first. I may not go home tonight. Jess said he will not come back until he is drunk today. Leo Zhu said softly. Zhao Jixi looked at Leo Zhu who brought the conversation up to himself and gestured to him speechlessly. The 2 girls next to them then realized that the man next to them was Zhao Jixi. They couldn't help but laugh twice with their hands covering their mouths. Leo Zhu chatted with his wife for a few more words and then hung up the phone. This woman is really good at checking up on me. Then it's because you have a dark history. Who told you not to choose the right person before and find such a girl and ended up causing trouble at home? He Jiang said after taking a sip of wine. Seeing his tone, the girls around him didn't dare to speak and their postures became serious. Leo Zhu's name is Zhu Jinjin. Unlike Huang Zhangaiyu, He Jiang, Cheng Fei and others, he had a mistress before, but the girl was not a pushover. She got herself pregnant without knowing it, and then caused trouble at Leo Zhu's home, causing him not only to lose his public office, but also his wife to quarrel with him. In the end, several brothers stepped in to help settle the matter, but no one told anyone who did it. No one knew where the girl went, and Zhu never asked about it after he handed the matter over to his brothers. But the child is still being raised by someone, and Zhu doesn't lack the money. Zhou Jixi has met the child a few times, and he is doing well. My eyesight is not good. Forget it. Let's have fun. Just be happy when you come. Don't let me make you unhappy. That would be bad. Then he turned around and looked at Zhou Jixi. Jesse, you're better. You're not married yet, so you should have more fun for a few more years while you can still have fun. Of course, I haven't thought about getting married yet. The cost is too high. My property will at least shrink by half if I get a divorce. If I have to make a prenuptial agreement, it would be better not to get married. Zhou Jixi said, a little depressed. In the past, I saw those rich young men going incognito to find wives and Cinderellas, but they were forced by these troubles. With their status, it is too difficult to find a marriage that is not mixed with their status and money. Love is easy, but marriage is difficult. Chapter 537, brought back. At night, Zhou Jixi and a group of people, driven by bodyguards, finally returned to the hotel. Several people were too drunk and had no intention of bringing girls. Zhou Jixi opened several rooms and let them in. He took the 2 girls back to the room directly, so Martin would not stay outside. After closing the door, it was the little world of the 3. Bibi looked at Zhou Jixi and felt a little embarrassed. She was not as bold as she was in the KTV. The bright light tubes here seemed to give her a little pressure. Let's take a shower first. Yeah. Zhou Jixi nodded. What do you want to drink? Juice. Pear juice is good, and it can also relieve headaches. Bao said. When the 2 girls came out, they had changed their clothes. They were different from what they were just inside. They looked more ordinary. Simple coats. One was black and the other was yellow. Bibi also wore a knitted hat on her head, and Bao also wore 2 plush earmuffs. She wore a skirt with a pair of velvet tights underneath. Both of them were wearing high-heeled boots, so they didn't have to worry about slipping in the winter. Apart from being tall, they were really no different from other girls. You couldn't tell that they would do that kind of thing in an entertainment venue. Zhou Jixi looked towards the bathroom and smiled. What interesting girls. In the bathroom, the 2 girls had almost taken off their clothes. Their long white legs extended to the roots, and they were wearing a pair of black panties. The mysterious area was clearly visible on the panties. Wow, yours is still bigger. You've gained some weight, so that part has also grown. Why do I start to grow meat on my waist when I eat a little more? It's really depressing. Bibi couldn't help but say as she looked at Bao's big breasts. Yours aren't bad either. Bao couldn't help but flicked it when he saw the little red spots on Bibi's body. Ah, damn girl, what are you doing? Bibi shuddered all over and immediately went to grab the pair of big white rabbits. Ah, don't pinch it. It hurts. Bao said with a blushing face, covering the other white rabbit. I'll pinch. Who told you to play with my breasts? Bibi pinched her fullness with her hands, ignoring the baby's hand pushing her, and just held onto her big breasts. The plump touch made her reluctant to let go. No, I won't dare to do it next time. At worst, I can massage you in the future. Maybe you can still grow up. After begging for mercy, Bao began to tease her. Mine are all developed by myself. Look at the level now. It's not something that can be achieved by ordinary techniques. Zhou Jixi could also hear the teasing of the 2 in the bathroom from outside, and the little brother below was now ready to go. It was a bit uncomfortable to push against the pants after it swelled up, so Zhou Jixi simply didn't wear this pair and took out a pair of loose red dot cotton pants from the space and put them on, but this also set off a big tent. He took a sip of the juice that he had just asked the hotel staff to bring and looked at the scenery outside the window. The night is long, and I can't sleep. The 2 girls were still fighting here, not considering his tolerance as a man. This is not how hunger sales work. My fucking stick is already so hard to bear now. So he started to think about doing something else to distract himself from his little brother's anger. Zhou Jixi looked at the tent and said to him, I'm sorry for you, brother. If it had hands, Zhou Jixi would have wanted to shake hands with it to express his condolences, but now without hands, it would just be masturbation. After turning on the Apple laptop outside and connecting to the wireless network in the hotel, Zhou boarded the Penguin to see what fun things there were in the space these 2 days. Although he actually knew most of the things in his previous life, he has changed so much in this life, and even his classmates and people related to him have changed a lot in their life trajectories. For example, seeing that he has become a local tyrant, they have actually started to work hard and have become interested in the antique business that their family used to disdain and have learned a little from following his uncle. At this moment, he is showing off in the space that he has found a bargain. It was said that this little thing brought him a small car in a short time. This made his high school and junior high school classmates who were still spending their family's money and picking up girls in college envious. A lot of comments were floating in the room. Some congratulated, some asked for support, some were envious and jealous, and some other comments that made people speechless, all placed under his post. Zhou looked at it and wrote a comment of envy and blessing. I hope my friends can walk on a life path of their own like those people who collect in novels. Then I looked at the things in the space. Some broke up with their girlfriends, and some had quarrels with their boyfriends. Many of them showed off their boyfriends and girlfriends. Zhou saw a girl posted a picture of a boy in her post, and she seemed a little silent. I don't remember that she had a boyfriend so soon in her previous life. Looking at the comments below, the basic direction of the classic discussion is that this boy is probably the girl's boyfriend. The girl did not post a reply, so everyone can only guess and make a fuss. Thinking about the space a few years after his previous life, Zhou saw nothing but family matters, as well as friends and classmates posting photos of their children, husbands, and wives. There was no quiet place at all. He didn't think about the fact that he was a geek at that time and didn't even have a girlfriend. It was normal for him to envy and hate those people with families. After browsing it once, he went into the circle of friends to have a look. It felt similar to the space. At first, he played this mainly to play parking games. Penguin Space didn't support it, so it could only be played in the circle of friends. But for the activity of stealing vegetables, no matter it was a Penguin account or an account in this circle, you could log in to steal vegetables. Just as Zhou was browsing, the door in the bathroom opened. The two girls were wrapped in bath towels. The narrow bath towels could only cover their buttocks. If they bent forward a little, you could see their little buttocks and the beautiful vagina below. For girls with big breasts, the bath towel looks even shorter on them. And a perky butt needs fabric, and big breasts need even more fabric. With the two compartments dragging behind, the butt has been exposed a lot, and the hair underneath can also be seen. Chapter 538, Happiness. When the two of them came out, they didn't see Zhou, who was impatient, stripped naked and lying on the bed, with a tent on his head, or even a mushroom on his head. Instead, he was looking at the computer with great interest. Although the object under him didn't make a tent, the size of it was not to be underestimated. The two of them didn't know what it felt like now. They didn't question their charm to the point of doubt, but there was always a feeling of loss. Fortunately, overall, Zhou's performance was at least not offensive. Bao walked over and lay on Zhou's back. The temperature in the room had risen, and even in the winter, he wouldn't feel cold wearing a bath towel. Zhou, who had changed his clothes, could feel the softness of his back, the faint smell of shower gel and shampoo, as well as the body fragrance of a woman, drifted into his nose. He leaned next to the girl on his right shoulder and took a deep breath. It smells so good. His right hand gently stroked Bao's buttocks from bottom to top, feeling the girl's erect and elastic butt. Your skin is so smooth, especially here and there. Hateful. Bao twisted her waist, but the heavy objects on her chest made Zhou feel their touch more clearly. A low voice came out of her mouth. Don't keep touching my hair, it's a bit itchy. I have a special anti-itching product, do you want to try it? Zhou didn't let go and continued to play with the hair with a little dew. This thing went in from the back, and the palm covered the attractive part, and the fingers circled the hair that extended from the front. Bibi also came over, put her hand in front of Zhou's chest, pinched two dots with 4 fingers, and pinched them with frequency. Hit the target, hold the vital point. Bibi, you are besieging Wendy to save Zhou. Zhao Jixi said in the girl's ear. Taking advantage of this time, he licked her earlobe twice and played with her tongue in his mouth for a while. Master, I don't want to save Zhao. I just want you to attack me. We women can resist thousands of men. Bibi said to Zhao Jixi with a charming smile. Little goblin, you don't know how powerful I am. I will kill you and make you lose your armor. Don't beg for mercy. Zhao Jixi's right hand played with the secret place, and now there were some dewdrops coming out. A line was still spreading inside, and it stopped halfway. If he continued to tease, it would probably spread all the way to the end. We really want to test how powerful you are. Bao has moved a little bit to the right, now holding Zhao Jixi's little brother. Her little mouth whispered in his ear. You have caught all the handles. It seems that I may be in trouble today. Zhao Jixi straightened his waist twice, let go of Bibi, and turned to Bao and said. You never know, maybe your gun is really good. Pa pa pa. Zhao Jixi slapped Bao's fat buttocks a few times, and a wave of buttocks surged, and the young skin was swaying with waves of white waves. The shy intimate sounds and the crisp slapping sounds made the picture very eye-catching. Good guys, wait for me, I'll go take a shower first, and settle the accounts with you. Zhao Jixi said, and he stood up impatiently, and took his hands back from under the two of them. Hurry up. Bao touched Benny's breasts, and licked her neck with her tongue. She looked at Zhao Jixi with a charming look and said teasingly, Pa. Benny slapped Bao's buttocks. What a great feeling. It's really smooth and tender. Zhao Jixi was so angry that the little brothers below had the illusion that they were about to explode. Wait for me, I'll be back. The voice gradually faded away until it came from the bathroom. He took off his clothes and pants while running and left the bathroom door unlocked. He turned on the shower and took a shower, especially for the little brother, because he had to ask the girls to lick his lollipops later. He put on the shower gel, quickly rinsed off the bubbles, walked out of the shower area, picked up the towel there, and started to wipe himself. His hair was a little long now, so Zhao Jixi also blew it with a hairdryer. He wiped it with a towel a few more times and threw it on the ground. He picked up another piece and wrapped it around his lower body. My babies, daddy is here to see you. Zhao Jixi walked out quickly and saw the two girls lying on the bed. The big-breasted sister Bao held Bibo's breasts with her hands, touching and pinching them non-stop. On the other hand, Bibi rubbed her legs together, and it seemed that she was itching unbearably, and she was whimpering and moaning from her throat. The curve of the vertebrae on the back of the baby squatting on the bed, combined with the plump buttocks on the lower half, revealed a perfect curve at men like. And Bibi, lying on the bed, looked even more plump at this time. Men don't care about the height of a woman, they only care about the thickness of a woman when she lies down. Zhao Jixi felt that the man who said this sentence really had a philosophy of life. Compared with the saying that you should look at a woman from the side, it is much more profound. Hey, babies, you are really too bad. You don't know to wait for me, Zhao Jixi said, holding the baby's big breasts from behind. You are so bad. I made you so uncomfortable, but you still insisted on taking a shower, making us both in and out of the situation. Now of course you have to solve it yourself. The baby's resentful eyes, combined with the twisted legs, Zhao Jixi smiled and said, I will let you satisfy me now. As he spoke, his hands began to bounce quickly on the red dot again. Woo. The sound came out of the woman's mouth. Bibi, who was enjoying herself below, also reached out with one hand to hold Zhao Jixi's little brother, holding the hot plate in her palm, as if her own body temperature was also ignited and slowly began to boil. Zhao Jixi leaned over and kissed Bibi's mouth, and the little tongue inside ran around in his mouth, and from time to time she pulled his tongue over to tease a few times. The busty woman turned her head to lick and suck Zhao Jixi's red dot, and from time to time she gently rubbed it with her teeth. The moderate force made Zhao Jixi gasp for air. His two hands could not be empty at this time. One was already on the baby's big white rabbit, and the other was also stretched to Bibi, gently touching her white rabbit, which was smaller than the baby's. Feeling the different touches on both sides of the palm, a small red dot scratched the palm, and it was a little itchy, but the overall elasticity was good. A red dot was a little bigger, and the touch in the hand was softer. pinching it seemed, as if the fingers were deeply trapped in it, and it was really a bit reluctant to let go. The red halo next to the red dot is also a larger circle, with a tender red color. Zhou didn't pay attention to it just now, but after looking at it for a while, he wanted to stretch his mouth to suck it. It's so itchy, I want it. The baby said with a little rustling moan. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 539, Morning Part 1. Zhou reached down and inserted one finger first, then two fingers. The tender flesh on both sides pressed his fingers, but the wet and slippery hole allowed him to move in and out. The little brother below was now in Bibo's mouth. At the beginning, Zhou was attracted by her flexible tongue. Now his wish came true. Her tongue circled around the tip of his little brother and occasionally moved it twice. The positions of the three people were also changing in passion. I don't know how long it took, but Zhou still didn't feel like coming. His fingers in Baobo's body were pressed by the surrounding flesh walls. After a while, a stream of water flowed out of her body and submerged his fingers. There were also water stains at the entrance of the hole, and the sheets were also wet. Here it comes. Here it comes. My god, it's so cool. Baobo's whole body had begun to flush. Her face looked like peach blossoms, and her eyes were confused. Zhou looked at Baobi, who was already lying next to him, with a smile. This woman comes really fast. She is very sensitive. What happened today is so exciting, and you are so handsome, so of course she is even more sensitive. Bibo made a bow sound and spit out Zhou little brother. Then I will let you enjoy it too. With that, Zhou spread her legs and put his little brother into the already wet secret place. The two of them groaned at the same time, and then they started to hit each other regularly. The woman seemed to cry and screamed, and she sobbed freely. The strong waist and six-pack abs show that this part has been trained a lot. Now the fast and stable power also expresses the title of a small motor. Zhou is not lazy to live up to the reputation. After a fight between tigers and dragons, the room was full of spring scenery. Zhou fully proved his ability. He killed the two girls and made them lose their armor and their troops were defeated. In the end, they all expressed their acceptance. However, with that look of satisfaction on their faces, why did Zhou feel that he was satisfying them? The best rest after exercise is to sleep. The two girls were very sleepy. Zhou took the trouble to wash himself and took the two girls to wash as well. He also washed off the sweat on his body. He felt sticky on his body and he really couldn't sleep. The two women were the same. They slept with such a beautiful woman in their arms. She was sticky. No matter how beautiful she was, he would feel uncomfortable. Anyway, it didn't take much time. Zhou also helped them wash when he was washing. He could also play with them for a while. Don't mention it, it's really a different feeling to help women take a bath. The two girls just didn't want to move. They were mentally normal. Seeing Zhou movements, they also had a strange feeling in their hearts. In the middle of the night, Zhou woke up from his sleep uncomfortably. He felt that his right arm had no feeling, and there was a huge rock pressing on his left chest. He looked up and saw that the two women were sleeping against him, one on his arm and the other on his chest. There were some water stains on the chest. It seemed that the girl was drooling while sleeping. Zhou knew it was Bibi at a glance from the delicate face. After smoking a medicinal cigarette, he adjusted the positions of the two girls, grabbed their big white rabbits, and slowly went back to sleep. In the morning, he woke up early as usual, hid in the bathroom, locked the door, and entered the space. After doing some boxing exercises in the room, he took a dip in the river of life. He had paid a lot last night. He didn't do it 7 times a night, but 5 times was normal. After recovering his energy, he called the hotel restaurant to send breakfast up, because many of them were self-catering. Zhou didn't know what they liked to eat, so he asked them to take a little of everything. In addition to the necessary millet porridge, milk, soy milk and other drinks, there were also steamed buns, and steamed buns, which were meals to fill their stomachs. for the most expensive suite in the hotel. Zhou Jix's small request was quickly met. At Zhou Jix's reminder, a small dining cart quietly pushed into his suite, and the waiter put the meal on the dining table in the suite. Then he took out milk and soy milk and set them up. Zhou Jixi took 2 raw eggs casually, looked at the waiter and said, "Are these authentic country eggs?" The waiter answered Zhou Jix's doubt very politely, "They are definitely local eggs. Our hotel's purchasing staff buys them from local people, and they are guaranteed to be authentic." Zhou Jixi nodded and said, "Then I'll give it a try." As he said that, he placed an egg on the bowl next to him and knocked it. He opened his mouth, broke it open and swallowed it. He felt that the taste was fresh and the fishy smell was not too strong. Then he turned around and looked at the waiter. "Well, it tastes okay. I didn't eat any feed." It was the first time for the waiter to see someone eating eggs raw. He looked at Zhou Jixi with his mouth wide open. Doesn't he think the taste is weird? Nothing to be surprised about. Eating this is not only more nutritious, but also tastes pretty good. Seeing the waiter who still looked unconvinced, Zhou Jixi took advantage of his good mood to say a few more words. "This is just like people eating coriander. Some people want to vomit when they smell it, while others think it enhances the flavor. Everyone has different appetites. It's normal to eat seafood raw in our hometown. We catch it from the sea and wash it with seawater. It tastes like it's sprinkled with salt. It's also very good. This is hard to imagine in your inland areas?" "Yeah." The waiter nodded. Zhou Jixi didn't mean to talk nonsense with him. After saying a few words, the food in front of him was obviously more attractive than him. He took out a US$ and said, "Thank you for your service. You deserve it." "Thank you, sir, and enjoy your meal." The waiter bowed and pushed the dining cart out and quietly took the door up. The bodyguard outside took a special look at him. He didn't expect that the service attitude here in China was not bad. Compared with the lukewarm service attitude they saw outside, this guy seemed much more pleasant. The 2 girls were awakened by the temptation of the fragrance outside. They had exercised at night and had not eaten yet. Now their stomachs were flat, and they felt uncomfortable lying flat. Bibi grabbed the sports jacket that Zhou Jixi had put on before, and Bao didn't want to make trouble, so he took a shirt of Zhou Jixi and put it on. Their clothes from yesterday were still in the bathroom. When they walked in, they saw that they were a little wet. They really couldn't wear them today. Chapter 514, Early Morning, Part 2. Bao looked at Bibi and was speechless. "It's really unprofessional. It seems that I have to use a hairdryer later." "You are still talking. It's all your fault for not putting it in place." Bibi brushed her teeth and gave her a white look. She raised one hand and lifted up the clothes on her lower body a lot, and the snow white thighs and buttocks were faintly visible. "Then blow it later. That's the only way." The 2 took good care of their personal hygiene and put on a little light makeup with the bags they brought, which made them look more bright and beautiful. They posed a few seductive poses in front of the mirror, with prominent big white rabbits and a perky buttocks. It was really a good piece of land. She covered her lips and blew a kiss to the mirror and said in a delicate voice, "Beautiful." When she walked outside, she saw Zhou Jixi and a table of food on the table. The faint sunlight shone in from the window, and there were buildings in the distance. The vehicles shuttling back and forth downstairs and the people walking along the road formed a city landscape. Human beings live in this city, just like small screws. Either they find their own position and get stuck, or they are left there idle. People who want to be hammers are almost everyone's extravagant wish. They can't do it, but now they can sit here with that kind of people and eat breakfast slowly and romantically. Which girl doesn't yearn for this? Love and bread are a choice for most women. They pursue RVs when they get married. If they don't have a car, they must at least have a house. To be honest, it's not too much. I have raised my daughter for more than 20 years, but I didn't bring her to live better. Instead, I watched her live harder in the second half of her life. How can parents feel about this? Zhou Jixi also saw the 2 girls, stood up and smiled at them. "Good morning. Come and eat something." The 2 smiled slightly. "What a wonderful breakfast. I'm starving." Zhou Jixi walked out very gentlemanly, as if he was in a Western restaurant, facing 2 women in evening gowns, helped them pull out chairs, and asked them to sit down. In fact, it was just a man in shorts and two women wearing the same clothes and showing their private parts from time to time, playing a game of gentleman and lady on the dining table early in the morning. However, the three of them had one obvious thing in common: none of them wore underwear. It only took a few seconds to pick up the gun and mount the horse. A wonderful breakfast was a little bit different, with the girls teasing the man's hands and the legs of several people intertwined. A gentleman's meal, transitioning to a vulgar breakfast of men and women. The process only took 1 minute and 2 glances, plus a few hooks of legs. The people in 3 directions sat side by side, sometimes in sharp contrast with the sandwiches on the dining table. Things between men and women can always be found in miniature in life, and some people can even associate 2 toothbrushes with 69. For this kind of vulgar people, Zhou is obviously a little more vulgar than them. Life is decades long, so enjoy it while you can. After eating a bite of the cream cake fed by the baby, Zhou sucked her sweet mouth mixed with cream for a few times, and the cream in her mouth was licked off by Bibo's tongue. I said, "You two can't just call each other Bao Bao Berry Berry," Zhou said, while looking at the 2 big babies. Bao Bao took a grape for himself, looked at Zhou with a smile and said, guess. I really can't guess this. It's not like I saw your ID card." At this point, he seemed to be in a good mood and patted the little bit of Bao Bao sitting on his right leg. "You can't call yourself Shizengxiang or other high sounding names, so you are embarrassed to say it? Oh, you are so bad." Bao Bao was dissatisfied and patted Zhou chest, but the strength was not much different from touching. "Of course, this is not our real name. When we went to work the day before yesterday, Sister Zensin asked us to think of a nickname. We didn't think much about it and just called ourselves this. Look at this name, how suitable it is for the 2 of us together," Bao Bao said. Zhou held back his laughter and asked Berry Berry on the left, "I guess this name was given by her?" It's true. I couldn't persuade her, so I called ourselves this." Berry Berry also looked helpless. Haha. Zhou looked at her helplessly and laughed. "I say, you are too casual. This name looks intimate, but it doesn't have any temptation. You want something sexy." Sister Zensin said, "This name is casual. People will look at you when the time comes. Who will care about your name?" Bibo's tone was a little helpless, and even the lively baby became a little silent. "Will you look down on us?" Bibo asked softly. Zhou was silent for a while. "Look up. Look down." As a beneficiary in the game, he really couldn't say what he felt. Everyone has their own choice. Madonna has done this before. In front of life, the first thing is bread, and the second is dreams. He didn't answer her, and said this as a comfort. Forget it. I think when I entered this industry, I had already thought of the consequences, and other industries are not much cleaner than this. It's just that we have become cheap. This Bibo seems to be a person with some brains. Isn't it too much to think about the philosophy of life? Zhou complained in his heart, but he didn't know what to say, so he asked casually, "So what did you do before?" After saying that, he felt that he had said too much this time. In the past, it was over after 6, and after paying, everyone went back to their own homes and mothers. Bao Bao felt a little numb sitting on Zhou legs, and his butt moved twice. "We used to be models." "Model? Don't they make a lot of money?" Bao Bao looked at Zhou. "Those are glamorous female models. In our industry, there are too few of them. Models like us who don't have a company contract and an agent are called wild models in the industry. We are exhausted and only make 300 to 500 yuan for a job, and it is always a problem whether we can get the job. Even models like car models are better than us. They are signed by companies. Even if they can't get any work, they can still be taken care of by the company and they won't go hungry. We can't do that. If we can't get any work, then the money for the next day's meal and the rent in the future will be a problem," Bao Bao said with a depressed look on his face. Zhou was quite interested in hearing the inside story of this industry. "Well, isn't there some unspoken rule or something?" he said and pushed the little brother a few times. "You are so bad." The baby's buttocks moved over and suppressed the little brother who was about to riot. Chapter 541. Keep her. Those are models who have signed contracts with companies. Wild models like us have to go to unfamiliar places. Not only are there risks, but we may also be photographed or meet some perverts. The most important thing is that the money is not much. The effort is not proportional to the reward. In addition, there are too many young and beautiful girls, and we are not the only ones who need two people. Bibi explained casually. Zhao Jixi felt a little strange. This situation is really a bit deep. Besides, we both had boyfriends at that time. We were naive and thought that love was enough. We didn't have that intention at all. We also offended many people and clients from small model companies. Bibi said with a self-deprecating look on her face, and there were tears in her eyes. Later, my boyfriend broke up, and I couldn't make it in the capital, so I ran to the south with my friends. Several sisters couldn't stand that life, so they either became mistresses or became prostitutes. Bao's voice was also a little depressed. We contacted a sister from the past, the mommy you met yesterday. She asked us to come to this city and introduce us to high-end entertainment venues where the income is high and the quality of the guests is not bad. I think it's the same to find a boyfriend. It's still up to you whether you will be together in the end. It's better to stay here for 2 years so that you can open a small clothing store or a nail salon and do some small business. You will have someone to rely on in the future and you can choose men slowly. Bibi also said. Zhao Jixi took a bite of the mont cake that Bao took. It sounds good to have dreams and pursuits. He paused and remembered what Cheng Fei said to him yesterday. The two girls are still new. I didn't expect that the first customer would be himself. Can this be regarded as helping them take the first step in their dreams? It's probably just adding bricks and tiles to their dreams. Oh, shouldn't it be called adding essence? Zhao Jixi looked at the two girls carefully again. Now it seems that they are about 24 or 25 years old. Life is not like those 17 or 18-year-old girls who are still a blank sheet of paper. Although this age group has to be lowered a lot, their papers have already begun to describe their life experiences, drawing the joys and sorrows of the past. You are not bad looking, so why not find a good man to marry? That has to have a price. You have to have a career anyway. Regardless of the size, if you can make money, your words will always be more powerful. Or you go back to your hometown, and the elders at home find a blind date for you, who has some ability, must be good looking, virgin, and have a degree. We don't like those who are not as good as you, and we are the ones who are neither high nor low. Bao has big breasts, but the depth of her words doesn't sound like a brainless person. Zhao Jixi thought about it, and it was not too much for this man to have such requirements. He has made a little progress, and he wants to find a family member, and he wants to find a woman who knows him well, so as not to have a relationship with someone outside, and he doesn't know how many times she has been with him, which is too unfair to himself. Really? Zhao Jixi nodded and said. Seeing the two beauties aggrieved, he got excited, and said without restraint, you two are good looking. Why don't you stay with me for 2 years? I promise that you can at least make a few $100,000 after leaving. Bao was stunned for a moment and then screamed, ah. Zhao Jixi's ears were sensitive to begin with, and this girl screamed so loudly that it made his ears a little uncomfortable. He patted her butt and said, what are you screaming about? Bao didn't care about the slight pain in her butt. She looked at Zhao Jixi in surprise and asked, Grandpa, are you going to support us? Zhao Jixi nodded and said, I guess so. Then I will be the mistress in the future, and Betty will be the fourth mistress. Betty was unhappy when she heard this. She twisted Bao's waist with her little hand and said, why do you think I have to be the fourth mistress? Just because you are the third mistress? Just because I'm sitting on it now? Baby said and twisted her hips. Without pants, the water stains left spots on Zhao Jixi's grey loose pants. Don't move. Zhao Jixi's little brother felt uncomfortable against his pants. Although he was squeezed in a tight place, the squeezing of the two buttocks was very touching, but it was also a bit uncomfortable after a long time. Baby looked at Zhao Jixi with seductive eyes and said in a coquettish tone, well, listen to you. I won't move. Zhao Jixi ignored the horny woman and took another bite of the food handed over by Bibi. Look at how worry-free Bibi is. You should learn from her in the future. Well, I will definitely learn from Bibi. Baby, with red lips like fire and pouting mouth, said so lovingly, By the way, you haven't told me your name yet? My name is Zhu Lily, and Bieber's real name is Yang King. How about it? Very contemporary. Baby, also known as Zhu Lily, said. Zhao Jixi smiled and said, oh, it's okay. It sounds pretty good. Seeing that the two were still looking at him, he thought for a while and then said, okay, just follow me from now on. If you don't want to stay with me anymore, just tell me. If there's nothing else, at least I'll let you marry with honor. Really? Of course it's true. From now on, just call me Brother Zhao, or you can call me Jess. Zhao Jixi patted Zhu Lily's butt. Well, let's do this. Let's make it clear. If you follow me, I'll give you an annual salary of 400,000. Of course, this is Chinese currency. As for me, I may be in the United States all the time, and don't come back often. During our relationship, I don't want any unpleasant things to happen. Do you understand all this? Yeah. Got it. The two girls nodded. Although this doesn't make as much as your industry, but, to be honest, it's better than doing this, right? Zhao Jixi said, while looking at the two women. Although the two women didn't look very happy, they nodded. I came up with this idea at the last minute. It's fate that we're together. Now, if you follow me, I can also arrange for you to work, so that you can make plans for the future. People can't just rely on eating for a living, they have to think of more ways. The two girls were obviously a little touched, and looked at Zhao Jixi. Well, thank you. Okay, thanks, no need. The person is mine, and it's only right that I make some arrangements. I'm not the kind of person who eats everything. But you still have to sign some confidential documents later. Is there any problem with this? Zhao Jixi said here, and looked at the two girls seriously. No. The two girls nodded in response. That's it. From now on, I will tell the outside world that you are my personal assistants. I will decide what specific things I want to arrange for you to do, and if it's appropriate, and you are interested. Chapter 542, Conditions and Speculations. Then the originally erotic breakfast suddenly became a little different. For the two girls, this was definitely a good thing. They were kept by a man. In the past, they had been asking for a man to keep them. Unexpectedly, they were kept by such a young and handsome man. This was really a very lucky thing. Their sisters' partners were basically old or ugly, and there were really not many young ones. Zhao Jixi was really a top-notch person. According to the rating, the ultimate state was probably him, the male god of women. It was not known whether they made money or Zhao Jixi made money in the future. He called Harvey in the United States and asked him to draft a private confidential document. Then he printed it out. There were 3 copies of the document. If there were not enough, they would be kept with him. The two girls were only responsible for signing. This matter took a while. Zhao Jixi first gave the two people an envelope with US dollars in it. When looking for call girls in the United States before, the girls had to pay the fees at the end. Compared with giving money, the purpose of the envelope was the same, but the form was much better. Spend this money first, and get your cards ready someday, and you can spend money from the cards in the future. Zhao Jixi said to them. He had already put on his clothes, and the two girls were helping him take care of them. Wait a minute, someone in the hotel will come up to help you get your clothes, and as for your boss, I'll ask someone to say hello. Well, we'll listen to you in the future. Yang King nodded shyly. Okay, you will be my personal assistants in the future, and learn more from Mizi when you have time. A vase needs to have some background, so that it will look beautiful and more attractive. After saying goodbye to the two girls in the room, Zhao Jixi still had important things to do today. This unexpected incident happened at the last minute, and I can only blame it on my mouth for being so mean, and saying everything without keeping the door shut. I really need to slap him twice. But, I'm also a mistress, so I'm considered to have made progress again, right? Thinking of this, Zhao Jixi smiled faintly. Talking about love costs money, but talking about marriage costs money. Talking about money is a bit of a bother, but now that we have made it clear, we won't have any burden in our hearts in the future. Compared to scumbags, my buddy is really a good person. In the Shangri-La suite of the hotel, the two girls sat cross-legged on it, looking at each other silently after Zhao Jixi left. King, we will also be supported by someone in the future. Is this considered an improvement? Yang King looked at Zhu Lily with a smile. If you say so, then so. King, in the future we will also live a life of housing, walking the dog, and going to the beauty salon. What do you think of this idea? If you like it, then so be it. Yang King replied. King, what kind of person do you think Zhou is? After a moment of silence, Yang King looked at Zhu Lily. He is a good person. I think so too. Zhu Lily said seriously, which was rare. Then he stood up again, as if he had a seizure, for a better tomorrow. King, we need to improve, we need to exercise, and we need to improve our temperament. Until one day, when I leave him, I want to be a woman full of intelligence and beauty. Haha. Yang King looked at the woman with her big white rabbits shaking, and smiled slightly. Stop jumping around everywhere first. Sister Yu's trading company, several employees gathered together to chat about gossip. Have you heard? The pretty boy who fought outside us was arrested, and he even begged the police to call the boss. He was crying and snotting on the phone. It really makes people feel that this person has lost all the face of man. A man with glasses looked at him disdainfully and said, your words are out of date. The latest news. Haha. Hurry up and tell me, why are you always teasing me? The man pretended to be embarrassed. I'm thirsty. I've wasted too much saliva just talking a few words. Stop talking nonsense. I'll go buy a drink after I finish talking. Here's the money. I'll put it in your hand. That's fast. It can't be brother Heyo, a heroine. After saying this, the woman made a move to cut, and the man stopped. While speaking, he waved his hand to signal everyone to come closer, and then pinched his throat and whispered, I heard it. At this point, he looked outside and said, I just heard that the boss's ex-husband also called the boss and cried. It seems that he was also arrested. The boss's ex-husband? Several people asked about this person. They were not company veterans, so they didn't know who that person was, but at least they had heard of such a person. What are you doing? A voice suddenly sounded behind them. They were completely shocked. My god. But when they were able to teach the scary person a lesson just now, they turned around and felt that their bodies were about to freeze, and their mouths were a little unwilling to obey orders. Secretary Chen, hello. The person who came was Chen Lily, Tang Hangai's secretary. Still chatting during work hours. Get back to work. Right away. Several people immediately ran back to their seats like birds in a flock. This group of people are really gossipy. Lily watched them go back to work and walk towards Tang Hangai's office. Hangaiu, this is really not me. I went to Zishan province 2 days ago. How could I have time to deal with that Tanjun? Menglei called Tang Hangaiu over early this morning. Yesterday, she received a call from the bureau. Tanjun talked for a long time inside. The summary was that he begged her to let him go. After he came out, he left the city immediately. Tang Hangaiu looked at Menglei. If it wasn't you, then who did it? You have the deepest hatred for him here. Now that he is like this, it would be strange if you don't take the opportunity to vent your anger. Menglei looked at her anxiously. It's really not me. I can swear to my daughter that it's really not me. After hearing what he said, Tang Hangaiu didn't doubt him. His daughter is the lifeblood of Lao Meng. It seems that this matter is different from what she thought. If it's not you, then who could it be? Although I don't know who it is, I do know whose people those people belong to. Menglei told him the information he had recently found out. Whose people? You know the Bald Kyang in the south of the city? Tang Hangaiu nodded. Who is the Bald Kyang from the Mongolian ethnic group who has a close relationship with the local faction? Yes, that's him. Menglei nodded. Those people are his subordinates. Chapter 543. Oh, your boyfriend is here to see you. Tanjun has a grudge against the local faction, but Gayo he has no grudge against this group of people. How did he get into? I have to ask you this question. Both of them have a relationship with you. To be more specific, they both have bad intentions towards you. After Menglei said this, Tang Hangaiu seemed to have thought of something, but she just couldn't grasp it. Menglei looked at her and couldn't help asking, what did you think of? The local faction, Bald Kyang. The more Tang Hangaiu thought about it, the more she felt that something was going on. Suddenly, she remembered the figure she saw in the newspaper one day. After being promoted, Tang Hangai, who had seen two people on local TV stations and in newspapers, Huang Zhangaiu, Cheng Fei. Why are you talking about these two people? Meng Leke asked. They were introduced by my person. We met a few times. It's also because their business has been doing a lot better recently. I didn't ask much before, but now it seems that they have a deep friendship. Tang Hangai, who had already guessed something in her heart, and she just needed to find someone to verify it. Is it your boyfriend? Meng Leke also reacted. Guang Taoqiang was deeply involved with the local people, and those two people were exactly the local people, and they were professional counterparts. If they couldn't get in touch, they would be really stupid. It's normal for officials and bandits to be like that. Tang Hangai nodded. It might be him. Dang dang. There was a knock on the door. Come in. Tang Hangai said. Lily walked in and said, Boss, there are a few people outside looking for you. They are two Chinese and a few foreigners. They have mixed accents. The front desk can't tell where they are from, but one of the assistants speaks more California English. Foreigner California accent. Tang Hangai felt that she knew who was coming. The Chinese is a man. He is tall and handsome, isn't he? Well, this is a text message sent by the front desk. Lily said. As a trading company, Tang Hangai also does international orders. Anyway, she sells whatever makes money. It is a basic requirement for the front desk staff in the company to listen to the accent of the place, and it is also a basic skill to describe what the stranger looks like. Is his name Zhou? Tang Hangai said with a smile. That's not what he said, but his last name is Zhou. Lily said. Meng Leke was amused and couldn't help saying, Hey, Hangai, your boyfriend is willing to come to see you. Tang Hangai rolled her eyes at him. What boyfriend? Do you have to add a small to show that I'm old, or do you want to show that he is young? No, I really don't mean that. You live like a 25-year-old girl. How can I say you are old? Meng Leke waved his hands and said, I won't talk nonsense with you. I'll go out and take a look first. Sister, you said, and hurried out. Lily looked incredible. The boss actually had a man? When did this happen? How could she not know? It seems to be a young man. Lily also became gossipy at this time and stepped inside to follow him, wanting to see what this person looked like. Tang Hangai walked in front with a smile on her face. The smile on her face made the employees around her think that spring had arrived early. The feeling of flowers blooming made them look sideways. What is the boss doing? He is so happy. The employee asked the person next to him in a low voice. You don't know. How can I know? The man looked at him with contempt. Yeah, that's right. You guys have such weak reaction nerves that you can only listen to second-hand news. The man said unceremoniously. He shook his head speechlessly and turned to continue processing the information, muttering in a low voice. Now gossip is so proud. Zhao Jixi and others sat on the sofa next to the front desk of UG Trading Company. He was dressed a little handsome today, and he wore a pink earring on his left ear. In line with his resolute face, his now long hair stood up cleanly and simply, and his hairstyle with shaved sides completely highlighted the pink on his ear. There is a small tuft of beard on his chin, and a straight line from the concave part of his lower lip down to the black beard on his chin. He is wearing a casual suit, with Armani's latest winter coat on the outside. The design and matching are individual, but not without stability. The watch is still the watch worth millions of dollars. Even though old man Bud has other watches, he still prefers this one. A man who is handsome and stable is really attractive. When Zhao Jixi came out, he was very proud of his battle suit. In his previous life, he spent a lot of money to equip himself with a set of suits for picking up girls. Now, these suits for picking up girls have become regular models. Every quarter, after the release of new products, he often adds styles. Several girls at the front desk looked at him and discussed in a low voice from time to time. He's really handsome. It's worth it to be able to date him. Yes, when I'm old, I can still brag that this handsome guy's nothing special. When my grandma was young, she didn't care about tall, rich and handsome men, and she married your grandpa directly, said a girl. This is really great. Private yacht, luxury plane, luxurious life, sweet words from tall, rich and handsome men, his gentle touch, sunny smile, Sad breakup. My god, if I can enjoy this, I will have the best memories of my life. This child is quite smart. She didn't think about marrying into a rich family. Her goal is to have a relationship with a tall, rich and handsome rich man. The girls around her complained about her ideas from time to time, but she had thought about it. It's really unrealistic not to meet a few scumbags in life. It's really not a reliable thing to have a boyfriend or girlfriend for those who can get divorced after marriage. Since this is the case, she should take the initiative. After taking the initiative, maybe there is a good one among them that she will meet. Handsome, rich and handsome guys are always naturally attractive to young girls, especially those who have some capital. A good figure and a good face are their capital without a good diploma. Sir, have some coffee. A girl in a black business suit and thick velvet tights on her legs handed over a cup of coffee and said. Zhou Jixi looked at the coffee in her hand and then looked at the 5 cups already placed on the table in front of him. He swallowed his saliva and said, "Thank you, beautiful lady." The bodyguard standing not far from him secretly looked at this side with very interesting eyes. Their expressions were very appropriate, and even Zhou Jixi could not see the smile under the paralyzed face. They would not eat casually during work, which is why only Zhou Jixi drank coffee. Chapter 545. Surprise. The girl was still looking at him. Why don't you say a few more words? Why don't you ask for your phone number? Doesn't this guy like my number? Thinking in her heart, she looked at Mizi, who was not far from Zhou Jixi, and compared it with her own. It was not much different. Her sister also said that ours was elastic and would not sag even without a bra. Zhou Jixi's slightly embarrassed voice sounded in her ear. Can I have a coffee? Oh, sorry, Mr. Zhou, I'm really sorry that I was distracted. The beautiful receptionist was flustered and almost spilled the coffee on Zhou Jixi. Fortunately, he moved forward swiftly, approached the girl's right side, held the child's trembling hand, and stabilized the liquid in the coffee cup. The bodyguards were also envious of this action. Their boss's skills and reaction speed were really great, plus his strength that was higher than that of ordinary people. If they fought with bare hands, they probably couldn't beat the boss. Zhou Jixi put one hand around the girl's waist and held the other hand in the girl's hand. The girl blushed slightly, but looked at him boldly. He said in a low voice, "I'm so sorry." "It's okay. I don't think Mr. Zhou will mind." A female voice sounded behind the two of them, and then Zhou Jixi turned around and saw Sister Yu. "Am I right, Mr. Zhou?" Of course. Zhou Jixi answered subconsciously. Sister Yu glanced at their postures and said, "Then why don't you let go? Is it fun to hug?" Oops. Zhou Jixi reacted and immediately took his hand back from the girl, but the girl was nervous and spilled a little coffee on her hand. "Well, it's really an accident. You have to listen to my explanation. I didn't mean to do that." He even gestured. Sister Yu looked at Zhou Jixi's explanation with a smile. "Stop, no need to explain. I forgive you." Now it was Zhou Jixi's turn to be surprised. Isn't Sister Yu the one who likes role-playing the most? Are these 2 moves enough for today? Is that all? Do you want me to scold you more? I can't see that you still have a tendency to be masochistic. Zhou Jixi looked him up and down, not only noticing her eyes, but also the eyes of the people around him. "I really don't have this. PFFT. Sister Yu smiled, which immediately made Zhou Jixi feel charming. Then Sister Yu looked straight at Zhou Jixi and opened her arms. "Do you miss me?" Zhou Jixi didn't pay attention to the surprised eyes of the people around him, took 2 steps forward, and also opened his arms to hug her. The two of them hugged each other at the door, as if no one was around. This scene was as beautiful as a fairy tale. People who saw this scene didn't dare to make a sound to disturb the beauty of the two. "You are still so beautiful," Zhou Jixi praised softly in Sister Yu's ear. "Smelly boy," Sister Yu also said softly. After all, the two of them couldn't do it, as if no one was around, so Sister Yu took Zhou Jixi into the company first. Several people rushed into her office, leaving the shocked employees staring at each other and seeing the incredible in each other's eyes. The few receptionists outside were even more shocked, and they felt a little hesitant. They snatched the boss boyfriend. They did it blatantly in front of the boss, and it was so conspicuous. The little girl communicated with her colleagues with a guilty conscience. Do you think the boss will fire me? Will I receive the dismissal notice soon? The content will definitely be that you dared to communicate with the guests for private purposes during work. And the actual content is that you openly molested the boss's boyfriend during work on the boss's territory. You also want to stage a drama of a mistress counter-attacking and stealing the boss's love. Do you think our department should fire you? Tell me yourself. Zhou, I mourn for you in spirit. At night, I will lower my white lace panties to half-mast when I go back, so that I can die. The colleague patted her shoulder and said in a deep voice, yes, I will go back tonight to do it. Although I'm wearing black lace, it is just a thong, and one side can be stretched out to be used as a pennant. I will also lower my pants to half-mast. You, hoo-hoo. How did I make friends with you two? You might as well lower your pants to half-mast now. Zhou, the coffee girl just now, said with a ridiculous face. You can consider this. Do you want to see it? The beautiful woman with a mean look on her face also looks particularly attractive, especially the lustful eyes and obscene smile. She is just about to tell you that auntie lets you eat white rabbit. If you don't obey, how about auntie treat you to a balloon? You slut. Zhou patted her colleague and said, when they arrived at the office area inside the company, the employees seemed to be busy, but their eyes kept unconsciously looking towards the boss's office. There stood two black and white giants, and their big cow eyes vigilantly swept over them, and they were immediately shocked. The atmosphere in the office was a bit strange. The two of them sat together but didn't talk. Zhou wanted to say something, but when he saw Sister Yu with a cold face, he suddenly couldn't speak. After a while of silence, he spoke. His mouth and throat were a bit dry. His voice was a bit hoarse. You know everything? Sister Yu looked at Zhou unexpectedly. Are you going to tell it yourself? It seems that you guessed it. Zhou nodded instead. Since you know it too, then I'll tell you. This time he was frank instead. This matter has to start from that day when you and your ex-husband were having dinner in the restaurant, and brother Huang happened to be there, and then he called me. He told some things one after another. Sister Yu and the other people in the room also had strange expressions on their faces. So, you couldn't come back because of something. So you took them in first to wait for you? Zhou nodded. Sister Yu stood up and looked at Zhou and said, do you know what they are doing in there? Zhou looked at her innocently and said, I know a little, but I didn't ask them to do it. Maybe they did something to offend others. You know, their profession has some occupational risks, and it's normal for people to have some occupational discrimination against them. Oh. Sister Yu looked at Zhou angrily. Is this your attitude? You don't care? Chapter 545. Get to know each other. The people around them became nervous. What happened to these two people? They were fine just now. Why did they quarrel now? The bodyguards faithfully performed their duties. They saw nothing and heard nothing. Mizi was the same. She didn't even dare to look at Zhou position. She turned her head away and looked at Tang Hangai's female secretary eye to eye. Zhou looked at Sister Yu strangely. I don't know them. They really don't matter to me. I admit that. But if they didn't do anything wrong, we wouldn't have crossed paths. I just don't want you to get hurt. That's it. The woman still had a cold face. But in Zhou opinion, a woman who is angry can also be very beautiful, just like Tang Hangai at this time. I know you are a smart woman, but sometimes you are not ruthless enough. These things could have been avoided by giving them a warning at the beginning. You still gave them money. Isn't this going to make people think about it? Also, I told you a long time ago to go to the United States to recuperate, but you just didn't go. Now something happened. If it wasn't for brother Huang telling me about this, I really wouldn't know it. Zhou momentum became stronger and stronger, and he stood up and looked at Sister Yu. Sometimes you just don't listen to others. What did I tell you? Tell me what I told you when I left. Will you die if you call Huang Zhangaiyu? If you have something? Sister Yu's momentum weakened at this moment. She looked at Zhou slightly and whispered, I'm wrong. Isn't it okay? I have a lot of things. If I go to your place, what will happen to the company? Okay, stop making excuses. Do you still want the child? Is the child more important? Or is the company more important? Zhao Jix's words immediately shocked the people around him who could understand Chinese. What's going on? Is this related to the child? Meng Leke was one of Tang Hangai's few longtime friends. He never expected that his friendship would develop to this point. The two of them were talking about having a child. This matter was progressing too fast. If it weren't for the young man wearing branded clothes and accompanied by several bodyguards and assistants who looked much more imposing than them, he didn't look like a poor man at all. He would have thought that his old friend had hired a liar. Tell me how old you are now. Eugenics, Comrade Hangayu. Last time you wanted a child so badly, we had to persuade you and agreed. Now you are not in a hurry. Zhao Jixi looked at her unhappily and said. Sister Yu's face was a little red, maybe she was embarrassed. She glanced around and said softly to Zhao Jixi, let's talk about this when we get home. Why are you talking so loudly here? Zhao Jixi looked back and found that everyone was looking at them with a strange look. She blushed immediately. Well, let's talk about it when we get home. After a while, Sister Yu smiled, as if nothing had happened. I've been here for so long. Look at my memory. I even forgot to introduce you. She pointed to the man on the right. This is my old friend for many years, and my partner in some projects, Meng Leke. Then she said, this is Zhao Jixi, a big landowner in the United States, with tens of thousands of acres of fertile land, which is not even a fraction of his land. He has 7 figures of land per acre. You have to get to know old Meng well. You always want to invest in land. You can communicate more with Jess. Zhao Jixi saw this man when he came in, a middle-aged man with average looks. At least he didn't lower the average appearance of the people in the country. He was about 1.8 meters tall, with a little meat, and didn't look like he was paunchy. Oh, brother Meng, I've heard a lot about you. No, I'm just a little older. Not worth mentioning. Not worth mentioning. Meng Leke also shook hands politely and said, I've heard Hangayu say before that she had several friends helping her many times. Thank you so much. We are all friends. It should be so. There is no need to be so particular. Meng Leke said politely and generously. The two of them were so polite for a while, and Sister Yu passed the tea on the tea table again, and no one brewed a cup. The two of them stopped to taste the tea, and didn't continue the polite nonsense. This tea is good. Zhao Jixi tasted it seriously. The tea is tea guanyin from Fujian province, and the water is the spring water from the mountain. The combination of the two makes the taste of the brewing unique. Sister Yu poured Zhao Jixi another cup of tea. While drinking tea, Zhao Jixi glanced at Sister Yu, and it seemed that she was no longer angry, so he was slightly relieved. This shows that what happened just now was just a show, not a sense of justice bursting, and he quarreled with him for the two scumbags. How long do you plan to stay after you come back? Sister Yu asked. I'll go back to the United States after the new year, but I still have to go to Zhonghai to deal with some things. Zhao Jixi looked at her and said, but when he said he was leaving after the new year, he didn't expect that when he said he was going to Zhonghai. Sister Yu's face looked a little ugly again. But I still have to stay here for a while. When I just came here, I encountered an interesting project. I plan to go down and take a look. If it's suitable, I will invest some money here so that I can have a place in the future. He suddenly stopped talking, as if this was not his place to stay. Sister Yu also heard it, but she just rolled her eyes at him. That charming look, even if it was a roll of the eyes, made Zhao Jixi feel very good. A lot of food was delivered yesterday. After soaking in the river of vitality today, my energy has been restored. When we are alone in a while, we have to toss it well. Planning to invest here? What are you doing? This one has not been determined yet. I will go and take a look at that project first. If there is no problem, I plan to invest in that one. As for the project, keep it confidential for the time being. Zhao Jixi said with a smile, seemingly teasing her, but actually didn't want to say it. Okay then. Sister Yu didn't ask any more questions. Then let's have dinner together this afternoon. Old Meng, you have to come and join in the fun. Meng Leke didn't want to be a light bulb. It was clear that they wanted to live together alone. If he really went, it would be inappropriate. No, my girl has something to ask me this afternoon. Meng Leke waved his hand and said, besides, we can have dinner anytime next time. Look how polite you are. Okay, then let's do it next time. Invite everyone to have some fun together. Come out for dinner and chat. Sister, you said. Meng Leke stood up, looked at the two of them and said, I won't bother you two here. I'll go to the company first, and then I have to go to my daughter's place. Tang Hangaya smiled and looked at him and said, well, I'll see you off. I'll see you off too. Zhao Jixi also stood up. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 546, Happiness and Envy. Outside, the employees at work still looked busy, but their eyes and ears seemed to be eager to stick to a few people. They were so curious to see what gossip they had. No one thought that their single female boss actually had such a pretty boyfriend behind her. The most important thing was that she looked wealthy, not to mention all the branded clothes, and she was equipped with so many foreign bodyguards, and she looked young. How could the boss give such a man with both temperament and body? The leftover women in the company realized that they thought the boss was the highest realm of leftover women, a figure like the fighting Buddha. I didn't expect it. I really didn't expect it. He is the Tathagata Buddha, who has already caught a monkey king in his hand. No wonder she usually doesn't hesitate to be with some men, and is not anxious about her love, and looks like she is sexually cold. Now they understand that the boss has food in her hands, and is not panicking. He is indeed my boss. A great man must have his own great qualities. Some employees almost all expressed similar feelings. After the two sent Meng Leke out, they sent away their respective assistants and bodyguards, and there were only two people left in the office. They looked at each other, and at this moment, the world seemed to be only each other in their eyes. Zhao Jixi's mouth gradually showed more and more smiles. At this moment, I only have eyes for you. Me too. Zhao Jixi hugged Sister Yu, and she also hugged Zhao Jixi. The two hugged each other quietly, and Sister Yu suddenly reached out and pressed a button, and elegant music sounded in the office. Zhao Jixi looked at her with a heartfelt blessing and posed a gentleman's invitation. Can I ask you to dance? Sister Yu stretched out her right hand. Yes. You are such a beautiful lady. The two danced quietly to the music, and at this moment, no matter what their attitude towards life was, their hearts seemed to be much closer to each other. When looking at each other, they just smiled gently, but they also felt very happy. My feet are a little tired from dancing. Sister Yu's chin rested on Zhao Jixi's shoulder. She was standing in high heels for a long time, and her feet were really uncomfortable. But I still want to dance with you. Zhao Jixi hugged her and whispered in her ear, then take off your shoes. Stand on my feet, I'll lead you to dance. Sister Yu smacked her lips, but immediately took off her high heels, put on black tights, and stood on Zhao Jixi's instep with her 2 feet. The two of them were still hugging each other quietly, with their hearts close to each other. Jess, I think this is the happiness I want. When I need you, you can always appear in my life. This is also the happiness I want, and this is our fate. Zhao Jixi was very emotional about their relationship. Cherish every day we are together, until we no longer need each other. At that time, you want to find someone to marry, and I want to marry someone. Zhao Jixi didn't say anything else. The two of them never thought about marrying each other when they were together. Not to mention that JC Chao doesn't want to get married. Sister Yu doesn't want to get married either. She had a failed marriage and she really didn't want to get married again. She thought that her life would be like this, but she didn't expect to meet JC Chao, a boy given to her by fate. He wouldn't pester her, nor did he need her to marry him, and then face all kinds of troubles. It was enough to have lived like this once. If she continued to live like this in the future, it would be too scary to think about it. As long as JC Chao could appear when she needed him, and when she didn't need him, they could live their own lives. This was the life she wanted. A little selfish, a little casual, but very free and happy. Every time they met, the two of them could spend some time happily. Yeah. Sister Yu responded without saying it. The bodyguards outside the door were still guarding the door diligently, but Sister Yu's secretary, who was guarding another window, began to steal. She looked sideways at the window, where the curtains were not drawn, and there was still a little gap. The two hugged each other and danced, and she envied them so much with their elegance and romance. Then the two of them just hugged quietly. The people inside were enjoying it, and the people outside who were secretly watching the gossip were tangled. Why didn't anything else happen? Thinking about it, I didn't expect that my female boss actually took off her shoes and stood on the instep of the man named Zhou. He led the boss to dance, and the two were still in the same posture. I don't know what song it was, but this feeling is really so envious and jealous. This is a feeling that almost every woman who sees it will have. There is no impenetrable wall in the world. It didn't take long. What the two did in the office spread to most of the gossip-loving people in the company. Then it slowly spread to their other colleagues, until they went home and spread to their respective circles of friends. After hearing this scene, a girl's eyes were full of stars. Oh my god. So romantic. Such a happy feeling. Yes, I didn't expect the boss to secretly hide happiness for so long. The two of them really make me so envious. Another girl full of spring feelings. Several front desk sisters were even more envious and jealous. I said, this man is a good man. Why can't we have this good man? He is handsome, romantic, and considerate. We don't need to worry about our future bread. Such a man is simply a benefit prepared by God for women. Why did the boss snatch him away? Hoo-hoo. The girl said with a sad face. She finally understood what it felt like to hate the rich. Now a woman, for a man, has also started to jog on the road of hating the rich. If you want it, go home and find a man and ask him to dance with you like this. Her words did not wake up the girl in front of her. She was no longer obsessed with Zhou and no longer envied Tang Hongyu. Instead, it attracted the attention of others. Yes, this is a fun thing. You can also ask your husband or boyfriend to do it when you go back. So, basically, those who have a girlfriend or a wife in Sister Yu's company have started to have bad luck. If their girlfriend or wife wants to be romantic, they have to stand on the insteps of their feet and dance. It is easy for those who are thin to handle it, but some people's girlfriends are fat, so they can only end up exhausted. Chapter 548, Romance and the Arrivals. A wonderful and romantic dinner in the most commendable restaurant in this city. Unfortunately, there is no restaurant full of romantic atmosphere in this inland city. Zhou and Yuji are not entangled in this. At this time, they have dinner with each other. Even if they eat tomato scrambled eggs at home and drink red wine in a disposable quilt, they will feel romantic. Red wine beauty, mellow red wine. After drinking, the smell exuded on women is Zhou's favorite. With a faint blush and the catching fragrance, Zhou couldn't help kissing. The theme after the romance is rolling in the sheets. The two returned to Yuji's home, and the bodyguards were still watching for the two diligently outside. A salary of more than $100,000 a year is not when you want someone, but they are not around. Zhou never thinks that it is an unpleasant thing to have someone following you. The golden chandelier, the gorgeous big bed, the two hugged each other passionately. There is no TV inside to roll in the sheets, and you really have to hug the sheets. The two naked people exude the breath of desire. Zhou held a big white rabbit in one hand and patted her buttocks with the other hand. The woman sat on him, twisting her waist slowly and playing with her hair with both hands, with a soft moan from her red lips. Jess, you are still so awesome. The ups and downs of the woman made a pleasant sound from her mouth. Don't stop. Speed up, Jess. I need you. The next moment, as if she was clicked, Sister Yu twitched twice, but her face was full of satisfaction. The county came to pick up Zhou at this time, which was a high standard. The director of the Investment Promotion Bureau came with an executive deputy county chief in charge of them. The deputy county chief did not speak, so the director of the bureau would of course ask about this question. Dabin, where is he? Didn't you say you would pick him up today? Call and ask. Yes, I'll call and ask. Seeing that the leader had spoken, Dabin quickly took out his phone, which had Zhou's assistant's phone number and code. Hello, I'm Miko. Dabin quickly explained the situation, and Miko spoke. The boss went to his friend's place yesterday, but he didn't forget your appointment. He will arrive at the hotel around 10 o'clock. Dabin quickly thanked her. Since Miko knew about the matter, she was in the hotel. He had to go out and say hello first. By the way, take the 2 little tails assigned to her by the boss to familiarize themselves with the business. She didn't just want to be an assistant for life. The boss has so many companies, and it seems that he intends to let her go out and work in one of them as an administrative or investment company as a shareholder representative. Honey was already ahead of her. Although it was a small company, it was great for accumulating experience. In addition, she was the boss's sister, so they felt closer. In the case that the boss didn't eat grass in the backyard, she could only win the opportunity by ability and relationship. As for the 2 people behind, Miko was still thinking about how the boss was going to arrange it. It was estimated that he would not bring them back to the United States. According to his usual meaning, it was best to keep public and private affairs separate. It was definitely not a good thing for a woman to be related to the company. She also thought so. Sister Miko, I feel a little nervous. This is the first time I do this. Zhu Lily said with a shaking chest. The originally confident Dabe Rabbit met Miko, who was no less proud than her. Just do what I say. Don't worry about the rest. In front of the 2 people, Miko was not like she was in front of Zhou. She would still put on the attitude of a senior when it was time. Although Japanese education only lasted throughout her childhood, the profound concept of superiority and inferiority still left a heavy imprint in her heart. Seeing Miko's look, the 2 of them didn't dare to say anything. They were a little scared of this Japanese woman. We know, Sister Miko. When the 3 women came out, the beautiful scenery instantly sobered up the group of people who were a little sleepy under the heating in the hotel. This Chinese American is quite impressive. Are these 3 women his assistants? The director of the Investment Promotion Bureau asked Dabin in a low voice. I'm not sure. One of them is indeed Mr. Zhao's assistant, and I haven't seen the other 2. Dabin took a look, shook his head, and said a few words. The 3 came over, and as the leader was still there, Dabin quickly introduced them to his boss's boss. Then it was his boss' turn, and then he introduced several colleagues around him. The 3 also greeted them, and everyone was familiar with each other. Miss Miko is Japanese? The deputy county magistrate exchanged a few words, trying to find a topic to talk about. Yes, I was born in Japan, and after my childhood, I went to the United States to study. In the end, I was lucky enough to be hired by the boss. Miko answered politely. The experience is also an inspirational story. For this assistant job, she worked as a nanny first. With her unremitting efforts and hard work attitude, she was noticed by Zhou and qualified to get the assistant job. The deputy county magistrate nodded. I lived in Tokyo for a few months, so I heard a little bit of Miss Miko's accent. Although it was not a good memory, he still found some good things to communicate with this woman when necessary, so as to know what Zhou's attitude was. With the experience in Japan, the 2 of them found some topics at once, and there was no dull moment while waiting for Zhou. The 2 girls behind didn't know what to say at first, and they didn't have the way to talk to Zhou at all, but that was not suitable to talk to this person. But the 2 of them gave the experienced investment director a set of major things that were not said out, but let people know that the 2 had just joined the company not long ago. Now he had nothing to talk about, so he could only talk about some local customs and customs. The 2 of them were not locals at a glance. When it was almost 10 o'clock, Zhou finally drove to the hotel, accompanied by Sister Yu and Martin. Mizi saw Zhou at once, and hurriedly said to the guest, County Magistrate Wang, my boss is here. When the deputy county magistrate saw Mizi talking, he quickly turned around to look. A young and handsome man, with a beautiful woman beside him. According to the characteristics described by Dabin, he knew who the protagonist was. He walked forward 2 steps quickly. You are Mr. Zhou? He looked at him twice. What a handsome man. Zhou hurriedly said politely on the way, I don't deserve it. He had already received the information sent to him by Mizi on the way. He knew who this person was. County Magistrate Wang is really too polite. Chapter 549. Investing in breeding. The two exchanged a few pleasantries, although they were all nonsense, but the national conditions were like this. Zhou Jixi didn't mind talking to him for a while, and he might need this person in the future, so this little time wasted. "This is my girlfriend, Tang Hongyu." Zhou Jixi pulled her over, who had been listening to the two people talking. County Magistrate Wang also felt polite to greet her. He looked at this woman, and found that he also knew her. She was one of the outstanding young business representatives nominated by the city and the province. The most important thing was that this person was quite rich. It was okay to invest a few million in the county. "Hello, Miss Tang. I have heard of you for a long time." "No, it's just a little bit of a reputation, not worth mentioning." "Sister," you also said politely. Dealing with this kind of people is already a common thing, and it is better for her than Zhou Jixi. Zhou Jixi also noticed it, but he didn't care. If he didn't have capital, he really had to make up his mind to study it, but now he was the only one being flattered, so he really didn't need to cater to them. Going at his own pace can make these people look up to him. The two people following behind Mizi felt a little timid when they saw the woman that Zhou Jixi claimed to be his girlfriend. They didn't dare to look at her at all, especially since the woman was pretty and had such a good temperament. They were like a mistress meeting her real wife. Mizi looked back at the two people and couldn't help but frowned and said, "What's wrong?" Zhu Lily was startled and said a little guilty, "Nothing. I feel a little uncomfortable." "King, you too?" Mizi asked again. Yang King was also a little embarrassed, but she didn't bite the bullet and said, "Well, maybe we had a stomachache and felt a little uncomfortable. It's work time now. You try to keep a good image. I'll talk to the boss for you later, and I won't go downstairs." Although Mizi frowned, she still said with a little consideration, "Hey, thank you Sister Mizi." The two people responded quickly, and they immediately breathed a sigh of relief. They didn't know where to hide their heads when they were with the woman named Tang Hongyu. It was uncomfortable, so it would be better not to meet her. After a brief exchange, the group walked out of the hotel. The deputy county chief was pulled into Zhou Jixi's car, and Dabin went up to help drive. Zhou Jixi and the county chief sat in the back and talked, while Sister Yu sat in the front and said a few words from time to time. As Dabin, who knew the situation better, also said a few words from time to help supplement the present. There is no need to say much about the geographical environment of Arhadan County. Mr. Zhou will know after he has seen it. It is just lacking investment. If it is developed, I believe it will definitely bring you rich returns. This county chief is really dedicated. Zhou Jixi didn't nod his head after listening. He knew that if he didn't say something at this time, people would be unsure. After all, he didn't know what you needed, so how could he continue to talk? "County Chief Wang, I'm very interested in your land resources. I plan to invest in breeding there. Haddam County has green mountains and clear waters, no air pollution and environmental pollution. Breeding looks very promising." Breeding? County Chief Wang really didn't expect Zhou Jixi to do this. Zhou Jixi didn't care about his attitude, nodded and said, "Yes, it's breeding. Maybe you don't know what I do." He paused and saw County Magistrate Wang nodded. "This is indeed true. One of my industries in the United States is breeding. I have a large farm in California, 110,000 hectares, which is about more than 1 million acres of land," he said and looked at him leisurely. "More than 1 million? More than 1 million acres?" After muttering for a few sentences, the county magistrate finally understood. "How big is this?" "More than 1 million acres, which is about more than 1,000 square kilometers of land." Slowly, the concept in his mind came out. Several districts in Huranbu City are only this big, and the entire Halara district is only more than 1,400 square kilometers. And how much money does this owner of a district have? This is really a big landlord, a very big landlord. Shocked to the point of being shocked. Ecstasy suddenly hit him, and the expression on his face was stunned for about 10 seconds. The two people in the car laughed in their hearts. As for Dabin, who was driving, he was also in a state of shock. Get rid of them. Landlords and the like must be dismissed. To asterisk. The car was still driving. The county magistrate, who had recovered, looked at Zhou Jixi with more eagerness. "Then Mr. Zhou, are you planning to do breeding?" Yes, that's right. Just like I said before, I want to build a breeding base over there, contract a piece of land, and then create my own meat brand. Nowadays, people are more and more concerned about the health of food. I plan to do green breeding here, natural breeding, Zhou said. No chemical feed, organic grazing breeding, try to make the meat of animals return to wildness, and of course the nature must be domesticated. The middle class and the wealthy class in China now have deep concerns about meat safety. What I want to do is to eliminate their concerns and provide green meat. The quantity does not need to be large, but the price must be expensive. Zhou talked to them casually. To be honest, the three of them felt that this matter was feasible, but this statement could not withstand careful consideration. This is a big problem. If you don't eat feed but grass, then the cost is definitely higher than that. In addition, the labor cost of grazing is much higher than that of keeping animals in captivity, and more manpower is definitely needed. If the animals get sick, die, or something, then there will definitely be a lot of losses. The most important thing is that if they can't be sold at that time, or consumers don't buy them, that would be a big problem. Feeding them every day consumes food, and if they are slaughtered, then there will definitely be a big loss. Even if they are discounted according to the market price, there will still be a loss, and the cost is relatively high. Can it be the same price as other meats? What Zhou said is based on the fact that his meat can sell well, and it is sold at a very high price, and it can still be very popular when it is in short supply. County Magistrate Wang will know it after thinking about it, but can he say it? As the beneficiary, he certainly can't say it. Zhou invested. Even if there will be losses in the future, it will only take 1 or 2 years, or with his financial resources, he may be able to hold on for several years. It is a political achievement to get the investment, and the first few years of tax exemption will be tax-free anyway. If Zhou loses money in the next few years, he can still use the previous few years to at least help many of his fellow villagers solve their employment problems and earn a few years of stable income in his hometown. Chapter 550 Proven. The vehicle drove slowly on the road, and after meeting the car coming from the other side, they drove towards Haddon County together. After leaving the city, the road turned into a bumpy dirt road. There were many potholes on the road, and water accumulated in them. The vehicle went in and out, and it was definitely necessary to go to the car wash to wash it. When it went back, sitting in the bumpy car made Sister Yu feel a little uncomfortable. Zhou was better. Looking at County Magistrate Wang and Abin, they were used to it. County Magistrate Wang said to them rather embarrassedly, the county doesn't have much money to build roads. None of the local officials of previous generations thought about building roads, and it has been delayed until now, and the county has no money to build them. This road needs to be built. Hasn't the Celestial Empire always said, if you want to be rich, build roads first? I think this proposal is really good. Your county has a good environment, but it's a little remote, and the roads are not good, so there is nothing you can do about poverty. Zhou paused for a moment, looking at the beautiful scenery outside, and said, but there are also benefits. At least your natural scenery is well preserved. County Magistrate Wang smiled bitterly. No matter how beautiful the scenery is, it can't bring benefits to the people. We don't have the conditions. If we had the conditions, I guess everyone would rather exchange the environment for a good life. Zhou didn't dislike his words either. People always have to be full before they can consider living well. But you may have to protect the surrounding environment in the future. If I invest, the basic requirement is that no polluting factories can be built around. These will be written into the contract when we negotiate. County Magistrate Wang was a little embarrassed, but he nodded immediately. I can't make the decision on this matter. Although no one in our county will invest in building that kind of long, there is no guarantee that there will be no one in the future. The most important thing is to see how much you invest. If the county thinks it is feasible, there will be absolutely no problem. The initial investment is 10 million, and you have to give a preferential land contract and the tax benefits. The additional investment in the later stage is not less than 50 million Xian Chao coins. Zhou first raised a finger, then said a few words and spread out his palm, making a gesture of spreading 5 fingers. The heart was moved. County Magistrate Wang and Abin, who was driving, were moved. This investment would definitely bring different changes to their hometown. First, the people can earn a sum of labor fees. No matter what you do, you have to use people on the land. Then there is the profit from contracting the land. The land resources in Had County are not ordinary rich. There are many idle and abandoned lands. The government can contract it out to Zhou and then receive another sum of money. County Magistrate Wang is no longer looking at Zhou. His eyes are basically looking at his ancestors. The people have benefited, and they have also achieved political achievements. This is the purpose of their hard work. County Magistrate Wang immediately patted his chest and promised, "Don't worry, Mr. Zhou, I will do my best to support you at the county committee meeting. This is a great thing that benefits the people. We will never allow anyone to destroy the environment." Zhou Jixi nodded and looked at County Magistrate Wang with a satisfied look. With this sentence now, I feel much more relieved. We have reached an agreement on the basic direction, and then we can slowly talk about the rest. After everything is implemented in legal documents, I hope we can have a long-term cooperation. The car wobbled to the outside of Haddon County. A county town didn't know how to build a good road. Zhou Jixi looked at the colorful flags and ribbons with Mongolian characteristics outside, which said warmly welcome something to come for inspection. There were rows of students standing on both sides. Under the leadership of the teacher, they waved small colorful flags in their hands, and some beat drums and gongs in their hands to welcome them. Zhou Jixi looked at the excitement and smiled. I played this role for many people when I was a child. When I went home after school, the teacher would give us some candy, but we loved going, because we didn't have to go to class. Sister Yu looked at Zhou Jixi with amusement. You too, you can tell at a glance that you didn't like going to school before. It's okay, except for the interesting classmates. I don't have much awareness of other things in school. Zhou Jixi smiled. The air conditioner was turned on in the car, and the temperature was not as low as outside. The children outside had red faces and white mist coming out of their mouths. But I'm still a good student. I'm a student at Stanford now. I got in through a serious exam. Zhou Jixi said a little proudly. The three of them really didn't see that he was a Stanford student. Especially Sister Yu. No? When did you sneak in? Zhou Jixi rolled his eyes at her and stretched out his hand to pinch her nose, but when he thought of the people next to him, he took his hand back. I've already said that I got in through a formal exam and interview. Next year, I'll probably be a graduate student. I'm already preparing my thesis. I really can't tell. Sister Yu was really emotional. What are you studying? Biology. I really can't tell. This was the emotion shared by almost all three of them. It's my interest. Now that I have the time and energy, I plan to go to Stanford to learn some systematic knowledge. When I was at home, my knowledge was not systematic enough, and I took a lot of detours. That's why I want to go to Stanford for further study. He smiled again at the expressions of several people. I guess you all think that I should study business management or something like that. Haha. Those are really unnecessary. There are professional managers. I can just do what I like. Zhou Jixi still likes showing off. As the center of conversation among the three, he feels very good, so he chatted a little more. Besides, don't underestimate biology. The benefits it can create are not just a little bit. I have made nearly $100 million just from this, and it will bring in about 200 million yuan in revenue every year in the future. 100 million. US dollars. County Magistrate Wang was thinking about how much money this would cost. According to the current exchange rate, these more than 700 million Chinese yuan will bring in 200 million US dollars, or about 1 billion Chinese yuan, in revenue every year. What the hell is this concept? This is a big money sponsor, a big local tyrant. Looking at the surprised looks of the two, Zhou Jixi was very satisfied in his heart. It seemed beneficial and harmless to show off his muscles to others appropriately for the future cooperation between the two parties. Didn't I mail you that watermelon last time? Remember? Zhou Jixi asked Sister Yu. Yes, I remember. That watermelon tastes very good. Sister Yu nodded. The basic starting price is now $200 a piece, and the price on the second-hand and third-hand markets has basically reached $400 or $500 a piece. Sister Yu said in surprise. So expensive? She thought it was just a kind of American watermelon, which just tasted good, but one piece actually cost several $1,000s in Chinese currency. This price is really a bit too scary. Zhao Jixi waved his hand and said, "It's not expensive. Do you think rich people care about spending $100 or $200 to enjoy the taste buds?" County Magistrate Wang had been listening to the conversation between the two, thinking about when to interrupt and show his presence. "I don't care." "Yes, I don't care." Zhao Jixi nodded and said, "There are at least 3 million millionaires in the United States. I haven't counted the number of millionaires in the world, but there must be tens of millions. It's really not a big deal for them to spend such little money on delicious food. Now I have hundreds of thousands of watermelons every quarter, and they are not enough for these people to share. If it weren't for the need to maintain the market's hunger and the difficulty of planting, I was thinking of selling them openly. That would be so cool." After he finished speaking, he looked at County Magistrate Wang and said, "So, I have proved with my actions and facts that there is a way to do business with middle and high-end people. I happened to see the investment promotion conference you gave me, so I came here to invest and try. It can be said that we are destined to meet." County Magistrate Wang was ecstatic and became more and more confident in what Zhao Jixi said. "Although I don't know what the watermelon is, I'll just check it out when I get back. Mr. Zhao, this is really fate. Fate." The car drove into the county. After the people in the first bus got off, several students presented flowers to them. Some people who looked like leaders walked up to shake hands with people enthusiastically. "That's the investor we invited. They will inspect us first to see if there are any suitable projects." Deputy County Chief Wang introduced Zhao Jixi. "Those two are the secretary and county chief of our county." Zhao Jixi's car was behind and had already driven in. Dabin ran down first to help Sister Yu open the door. Zhao Jixi didn't need him to make so much trouble, so he opened the door and walked out. The bodyguards following Zhao Jixi's car also got off the car wearing black coats, black military boots, black hats, clothes and sunglasses. The combination was really cool. They ran to stand behind Zhao Jixi and attracted a lot of attention. The students who were about to present flowers were also shocked. It was not uncommon to see people with Western appearance in this area of Mengdi. As a small county under Hulanbu City, it is close to Russia, and there are many Chinese and Russian people in the area. This kind of appearance is not uncommon, but with this costume prop, it becomes different. At the teacher's call, the children secretly glanced at the bodyguard, walked forward and handed over the flowers. "Welcome here." Zhao Jixi took the flowers handed over by the children, looked back and saw that Sister Yu also had some. "Thank you, little friend." The imposing way of appearance here attracted the county magistrate and secretary a little ahead. After chatting with the guests in the car, they hurriedly walked towards Zhao Jixi. Chapter 551. This deal can be done. Zhao Jixi had a few enthusiastic exchanges with the two leaders in the county, that is, the leaders. Small characters can also be very useful, just like County Magistrate Wang. Considering that the secretary here does not seem to be a local, some people with local accents in the county seem to have a lot of dirty tricks with him. Zhao Jixi chuckled a few times, and his closeness to him was not as close as that to the second-in-command county magistrate. Here he has a deep friendship with the local people, and several good friends are also the leaders of the local faction. In the future, he will introduce them to the Mongolian county magistrate he just met, so that everyone can get to know each other. The county magistrate's surname is Chagan, which is translated into Bei in Chinese, that is, County Magistrate Bei. The civil affairs are under the charge of the county government. The secretary wanted to get closer to Zhao Jixi at first, but County Magistrate Bei is not a fuel-saving lamp. It seems that he doesn't care much about the secretary. Outsiders are officials in this autonomous region. Reality tells people that it is not so easy to get along. Either get along well, suppress and win over the local people, or they can be sidelined, and if they are bored for 2 or 3 years, they can find a way to transfer them away. Zhao Jixi estimated that this person would not stay for long, and he did not come here to protect him. A stable team is the best choice for investors. It was already past 11 when they arrived in Hardin County, and the county invited the businessmen who came to inspect to have lunch. Zhou Jixi was pulled into the car by the enthusiastic County Magistrate Bei and County Magistrate Wang, and the three of them exchanged feelings inside. After a chat, Zhou Jixi really had a relationship with this County Magistrate Bei, a buddy of his in the city, who was one level higher than a friend of wine and meat, played well with Huang Zhangaiyu, and was also a local person, and was County Magistrate Bei's cousin. It is said that people from the same place will have some relatives, but I didn't expect to meet someone who really had relatives, which made things much better. This unexpected surprise really surprised County Magistrate Bei. He was just thinking about how to build a good relationship with the big local tyrant in front of him. As County Magistrate Wang said, in a blink of an eye, he found that they were still his own people. With this relationship, if Zhou Jixi didn't support him in the future, would he support that secretary? County Magistrate Bei looked at Zhou Jixi with a smile on his face. Boss Zhou, I didn't expect it. We are talking here, and it turns out that we are from the same family. Zhou Jixi's attitude towards him was also much better than before. Just now he was enthusiastic, but it was just for show. Now he felt that everyone was familiar with each other. County Magistrate Bei, just call me Jixi. We are all friends. What's the boss? It's too distant. County Magistrate Bei was stunned for a moment, and then he said happily, oh, look at my mouth. He looked at Zhou Jixi's face again, then, brother, you are too arrogant. No, you are older than me. How can I be too arrogant to call you brother? In private occasions from now on, I will call you Brother Bei. Old Bei, don't call me Brother Bei. People who are familiar with me like to call me that, and brother is also happy to hear it. County Magistrate Bei didn't dare to call him brother directly. Wouldn't that be taking advantage of the leaders in the city? When Zhou Jixi goes to the city in the future, if the leader is younger than him, he will be recognized according to the seniority of Zhou Jixi. Wouldn't he become the leader's Beijian? Will he still be able to get along in the future? Zhou Jixi thought about it and agreed. He didn't expect the things in the middle, but since he said so, he must have his considerations. After all, officials in the Celestial Empire cannot leave handles for opponents in some things, maybe out of caution or something. What Zhou Jixi didn't expect was that he really guessed a little bit. The atmosphere in the car also improved a lot. The three of them became familiar with each other in half a day. Even Sister Yu, who was driving in front and sitting in the co-pilot, felt that this was what a man should do for the friendship and exchange of interests between men. Women should not regard shamelessness as heroism. The county hosted a banquet for them at the guest house. Zhou Jixi and his friends walked in. On the way, they saw the secretary chatting happily with those businessmen. It is estimated that the two people in the county sat in compromise. One public relations Zhou Jixi, and the other public relations those businessmen. It really makes the best use of everything. Secretary Su, don't worry. I came here because the air here is good. As long as the conditions are good, everything will be fine. Zhou Jixi listened to a fat man with a gold necklace chatting with the secretary in an accent that he didn't know whether it was a Hong Kong or Taiwan accent. It sounded quite cheerful, and Zhou Jixi didn't seem to want to pay attention to it. He took a cold look, greeted the secretary, and ignored the people next to him. The businessmen over there saw Zhou Jixi's posture and didn't dare to go up to make trouble. Just the bodyguards behind them were enough to make them feel overwhelmed. Businessmen pay attention to making money in harmony and don't want to cause trouble, even if there is nothing to do, not to mention that they are in another place, and even more so in the three provinces. After eating a lunch with a strong Mongolian flavor, everyone was still shocked by Zhou Jixi's terrible appetite. Because there was something going on in the afternoon, everyone didn't dare to drink, so the things on the table were particularly conspicuous. The pile of skeletons in front of Zhou Jixi had been cleaned up for the third time by the service staff. There were also many skeletons in front of Sister Yu, all of which were peeled by her, wrapped in dough and sauce, and stuffed into pieces for Zhou Jixi to eat. The gulp sound of swallowing saliva was heard by many people in his throat. Zhou Jixi no longer cared about these looks. Why should he suppress himself if he could eat more delicious food and enjoy the taste of the food? As long as it was within the acceptable range for normal people, he would try his best to eat and eat happily. While eating, Zhou Jixi looked up and said to the people who were watching him eat, "Everyone eat too, don't keep looking at me, eat something." Today's lamb chops are well grilled. The secretary and the county magistrate's arrangement is really thoughtful. Hey, we are all eating. Someone responded casually. County Magistrate Bay still gave the secretary some face. He was about to speak, but the secretary spoke, so he gave way to the secretary and let him speak. As long as the guests are happy, our dishes are all country dishes. If everyone is happy and likes them, that's the best thing. Happy, of course. Many people responded politely. The lunch was over at 1 o'clock, and everyone set out to investigate in the afternoon. Zhou's first priority was to investigate the grasslands and rivers in several villages and settlements, and then he went his separate ways from the secretary's people. The secretary was still a little reluctant, but it was arranged at the beginning, and he couldn't go back on his word with County Magistrate Bay now. The car began to bump again, and the scenery along the way was still magnificent and beautiful. This kind of grassland beauty was different from what Zhou felt when he was in California. There were more traces of artificiality over there. After all, the establishment of the script filling system and the standardized planting did not give the feeling of order in the chaos of nature. The car stopped on a grassland, and several people got out slowly. Now on the prairie of Mengdi, Zhou felt the vastness and freedom, as well as the insignificance and loneliness of human beings. He squatted down and grabbed a handful of soil from the land. The land here is not bad. It is a good choice to be used as a breeding area in the future. The county magistrate did not understand what Zhou said. He had no experience in farming. The county magistrate Wang next to him was the same. He had no idea what fertile land looked like, but they still knew what it meant, and they both showed joy on their faces. Then Zhou went to some small hills for inspection. It was not bad. The land was not too fertile, and the night was not too bad. After all, there was no repeated planting by humans, so it was reasonable that the land was better. Looking into the distance on the hill, there were 3 or 4 houses made of tents. There were also several fences next to the houses. There were horses and cows inside, which were all the property of nearby herdsmen. A little further away was a larger settlement. Herdsmen usually traveled with their own homes. Now it is a new era, and they don't have to migrate all the time. Every year when they change the field to raise grass, they will move to the next place. County Chief Bay and others had been accompanying him for a long time, and he just called his cousin in the city. His cousin told him to take good care of Zhou because this person is not an ordinary person. If he does a good job, all the benefits in the future will be his. So he has been very patient to accompany Zhou to see more of the terrain. Jess, how is it? Are you satisfied with the environment here? With the expectation of asking, County Chief Bay was still a little nervous, so his voice was a little shaky. Zhou nodded. Well, it's not bad. A few hills, and a river. Especially that river. I can dig an artificial lake in the future. He gestured and raised his hand to the right. Here we should build a farm, build a systematic irrigation system, modern breeding technology, and green breeding methods. I firmly believe that the quality of the meat will be great. After saying this, County Magistrate Bay and Deputy County Magistrate Wang were immediately happy, but County Magistrate Bay still said carefully, "What do you mean, Jixi?" Zhou looked at County Magistrate Bay. "This deal can be done." "Really?" "Of course, I will ask my lawyer to come and talk to you tomorrow. This large piece of land, plus those hills and rivers, I want to contract them all. The Celestial Empire does not allow the sale of land. You have to give me the highest contract period you can give." These began to state the conditions. "That's for sure." County Magistrate Bay nodded seriously. "The county government will give you preferential treatment in all aspects, but I will solve everything for you as soon as possible." Zhou nodded and smiled. "That's great. As long as the legal documents are implemented, my first investment will come in, and I will start to make some small renovations here, and establish a ranch breeding base by the way." He paused and said, "You'd better communicate with those people in advance. I don't want any trouble. There will definitely be no problem with this. The county government puts the overall situation first." County Mayor Bay said this with a firm voice and an extremely firm attitude. Chapter 552. Good things are expensive. After 2 days of investigation, Zhou finally went back to the city. The environment down there is really not exaggerated. He who is used to a good life, is really a little uncomfortable. Apart from other things, the toilet problem is solved by having a shed. It is okay to dig a pit and fill it up. It will pass after a while. I'm afraid that the things down there will pile up together and white worms will crawl around. That is disgusting. Zhou only had this treatment when he was a child. In his hometown, there was no flush toilet at that time. They used buckets. When the amount was reached, they were used for watering. Moreover, there are usually white worms. The weather in Mengdi is not very good, not to mention the cold. In the winter, it is better in the south. It is just that the north wind is really uncomfortable, and sometimes I can't even open my eyes. The most annoying thing is that sometimes the mobile phone has no network, and it is troublesome to get on the wireless network. If he didn't carry a satellite phone with him, he was really afraid that others would not be able to find him. Zhou has already planned to build a base station here in the future to at least ensure smooth network. Then plant more trees to form a grassland tree wall to block the wind. Find a place with good scenery and build a villa. You can enjoy it here and don't have to worry about the simple conditions. I went back to the hotel and took a bath. Sister Yu handed me a glass of red wine. She sat next to the bathtub and took a sip of red wine. Her wet long hair was attached to her scalp and shoulders until her back. Her snow white skin was more beautiful under the light. The mist rising from the heat made her look like a person with color added to the oil painting, revealing a beauty that did not belong to the secular world. Zhou half squinted his eyes and said lazily, "Come in, what are you doing sitting outside naked?" Like a lady, she half leaned on her body, crossed her legs, and the dark forest at the root could still be seen directly. "No, I just did it twice. If I go in, who knows what you'll do next. Whatever you want." I don't know who just shouted, "I want more, don't stop." Zhou said teasingly. Sister Yu is indeed a mature woman. Zhou can't change her mind with just a few words. She moved closer to Zhou and said sharply, "What's wrong with me? Don't you like it? If you don't like it, I won't shout next time," she said with a lovely look of turning her head away in anger. Zhou didn't want to lose his future benefits, so he quickly said, "I like it. How can I not like it? I just like you to open up and shout, HMM, and be full of passion. Stinky boy." Sister Yu rolled her eyes at him and shook the glass twice, drinking the red wine in it. "This Cabernet Sauvignon you brought back is really delicious. It has an indescribable feeling. The taste is also great. Leave a few bottles with me next time." Zhou nodded. "Well, I still have quite a few bottles in my box. You can take them out later. Just leave some for me as gifts." Sister Yu leaned over and kissed Zhou and passed the remaining red wine in her mouth to him. After the two of them had a lip sparring, they separated their mouths, but there was still a thread of saliva, which only broke off as the distance increased. "What are you going to do in Hardin County?" Sister Yu asked with a flushed face. "Ask a few friends if they want to form a partnership, and then find a few people to manage it. After the shelf is built, just raise it directly. As for the market sales, there is no rush within a few months. I will first build up my reputation, and then set up direct sales stores in first-tier cities such as Beijing, Shanghai and Guangzhou." As she said this, she wiped the water drops from her head with her right hand. "I plan to export some of the products from American farms to China. In each city, we only need to build a few specialty stores in high-end communities to do business with the middle class and the wealthy class. In the future, we will recruit staff and quarantine personnel to search for organic products locally and sell them in the stores. My slogan is not only sell good products, but also sell expensive products." Will this work? Sister Yu felt that Jay Chou was a little too idealistic. "My dear sister Yu, haha. Haven't you noticed that the Chinese people are becoming more and more worried about food safety?" Then, without waiting for her to answer, he said to himself, "With the development of the market economy, more and more people are only for money and benefits, intentionally ignoring or indirectly forgetting food safety. In this case, accidents are inevitable. After the accident, people's worries will become heavier, and I just want to give them a safe food with high prices and high quality ingredients." Zhou became more and more proud. people may think the price is high, but behind the high price is a safety and guarantee. What do you think the middle class and the wealthy will choose? I'm not the first to create this model in the domestic market, but I believe that with my advantages, I can still bite off a piece of meat in this market. Zhou said confidently. In the last few years of the previous life, food became more and more unsafe, and it also caused a lot of accidents. Dang is not much better now. The country's exempted products have all had problems. So many unlucky children are suffering. These people who don't care about people's safety are really going to get retribution. Zhou still remembers watching a video of a family that was persecuted by milk food safety in his previous life. The child in the video was so young, but he had had kidney stones for several years. He had to jump around and do a certain amount of exercise every day. Every time he urinated, the mother had to use a basin to see if there were any kidney stones that the child had pulled out. This was still considered good, and some serious cases were even more miserable. Although Zhou had not experienced it, he felt sympathetic when he saw these people. Maybe one day it would be his turn. He had to be extra careful when eating, and often read online reports to avoid being unaware of the latest food safety situations. Sister Yu looked at the confident Zhou. This child was really charming sometimes, especially when he was confident. Sister Yu really likes it. Since you have made up your mind, I won't say much. You have enough connections here. You are better at this than I have been here for so long. I really admire you. Pa. Zhou patted her buttocks and pulled her over. Since you admire me, then serve me well. I will teach you my special skills. Ah. Sister Yu lost her balance and screamed, falling into Zhou's arms, splashing water. You little bastard. I'm going to die. Come on. Ouch. You inserted it in the wrong place, a little further forward. Suddenly, water splashed everywhere, and the sound of papa rang in the bathroom. Chapter 553 shares. In the evening, Zhou took Sister Yu to a banquet, organized by several buddies. In the car, Sister Yu twisted Zhou's waist from time to time. Then she twisted his arm again, still feeling unsatisfied. You said, we drank alcohol just now and ejaculated inside. What if the child is deformed in the future? Zhou patted her on the shoulder. It's okay, I've checked the information. Drinking has no big impact on children. It's not alcoholism. What's more, we drank red wine, with just a little degree and quantity. It's okay. Seeing that Sister Yu was still in the same state, if you don't like it, go to the ferry to check. It's all true. The two were chatting, and the car arrived outside the hotel. Sister Yu didn't get angry with him at this time. Okay, don't be angry, it's all my fault. I promise I won't dare to do it next time. You stinky boy, if you dare to do it again next time, I will break it with my butt and let you suffer. Sister Yu said, and glanced at little Jixi. Zhou couldn't help but shudder, and quickly said, I really don't dare to do it next time. The two chatted and entered the hotel, without bodyguards. Maybe they were somewhere behind him. Zhou didn't care. Assistant Mizi had suffered a lot with them in the past 2 days. Zhou gave her a day off, and she was probably still sleeping now. In addition, today was a private banquet, so Zhou came with Sister Yu. In the upstairs box, several people had already arrived. They were chatting enthusiastically now. Huang Zhangaiyu, I asked some questions today, and those 2 guys have been released. It was too tragic. Cheng Fei waved his hand. Come on, old Huang, you can't explain it clearly. I got some photos here, so everyone can see it clearly. Then he took out a few photos, and showed them to a few people. Old white-faced Tanjun only worked for a few days, and he looked like he had lost a lot of weight. There were still a few red pimples on his face, and some of them had already scarred. His hair was messy, and when he walked on the street, he looked suspicious, scared and nervous. Cheng Fei picked up a peanut, and took a bite. The day this old guy came out, he packed up his things, bought a train ticket, and ran to the south. I guess he won't dare to come back in this life. And the pretty boy, the doctoral student Gaohi, was a bit unlucky. Not to mention, that he was raped in the anus. He looked like a homeless person now. Cheng Fei continued, I guess this kid will be afraid of men in the future. He was raped in the anus several times in there. I don't know if he will like women in the future. These people deserve it. Why can't a grown man make a living? He has to do these despicable things on women. We are getting rid of harm for the people. Brothers, you have done a great deed. He couldn't stand this the most and said while pointing at the photo. While several people were chatting, Zhou pushed the door open and walked in. He looked at them and said, "Why are you guys here so early? What are you talking about?" He saw Sister Yu behind him with his sharp eyes, exchanged glances with Cheng Fei, then stood up and said quickly, "Nothing, my sister-in-law is here today too. Welcome, welcome." Everyone understood what he said, and they were not stupid. They pretended to be casual and put away the photos on the table. After that, someone said, "Jess, come in and sit down quickly, and sister-in-law should also sit down quickly." Zhou was a little puzzled. The brothers are really enthusiastic today. He looked at Sister Yu and said with a little joke, "Haha, it's like this usually." Everyone was a little embarrassed. Zhou glanced around and saw that the cousin of County Magistrate Bei was also here. He remembered that his name seemed to be Bei Wu Mu. After drinking a few times, everyone was also in the same circle. Putting aside the matter that just started, everyone chatted a lot more lively. Bei Wu Mu expressed his gratitude to Zhou for visiting his cousin and investing there. Zhou did not act pretentiously, clinked glasses with him, and said directly, "We are brothers, and since we are one family, I will definitely support him." The straightforwardness of the people of Mengdi can be seen in drinking. Before they had even taken a few bites of the food, everyone started drinking. If you don't notice, Zhou drank 4 teals of white wine without cheating. He was a little tipsy, but he felt that he had become more sober. Zhou clapped his hands and said, "Since everyone knows that I want to invest here, I will tell you something today." Everyone stopped talking and looked at Zhou. He spoke first. "Jess, what's the matter?" Zhou took out a few documents from Sister Yu's bag. "This is my plan for the breeding base to be built under Hardin County. What do you think? If you think it's okay, I can also give you some shares. We are all brothers, and we can make money together." Everyone took a simple copy that Zhou asked Mizi to make, and copied several copies, so that everyone could see it. After a while, everyone sitting there had some ideas in their minds. There was one thing they could be sure of, that is, Zhou really had no shortage of money. Taking out some shares was also based on the idea that everyone could make money together. Of course, there might also be the intention of helping to take care of the base in the future, but even if there was no such thing, they would still take care of it, based on their relationship. However, some things will not feel good after being done for a long time. Zhou's intention of taking out this thing is very clear, and they understood it at a glance. But it is difficult to refuse, because they understand it. This matter is really hard to explain. I dare to guarantee that this farm plan will make money. We are all brothers. My brothers have always taken care of me, so don't refuse. I plan to take out 20% of the shares here. Brothers, divided according to the number of people. Those who have money will take the money, and those who don't have money will be considered as borrowing it from me. In the future, the profit will be deducted from the dividends. After deducting the debt, the shares will be yours." After hearing this, several people didn't know how to respond. They originally wanted to say that the money was not much, but after hearing this, they were planning to force the sale. "Don't tell me how this business of yours can be 100% profitable. Just look at the few times I've done business, and I've never lost money. I'm confident in this. If there's a loss, it's my responsibility. If it's not my responsibility, none of us brothers will be able to do this." Seeing that they wanted to say something else, Zhou quickly waved his hand and said, "Listen to me first. You guys know that I can't stay here forever. If I keep asking you to take care of the breeding base, it's okay once or twice, but if it happens too often, I'll feel embarrassed. Besides, there's only one breeding base. Other places will not be included in the future. Don't feel any pressure." Time passed in silence. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 554 shares continued. He Jiang was a straightforward person, and he didn't waste words. He said directly, okay, since Jess said so, we brothers should not be unkind. He is a wealthy man, and even a hair of his is thicker than ours. We are fighting against the local tyrants. After he said this, everyone was not polite. After looking at each other, they said, okay, brothers, we will invest. Zhao Jixi clapped his hands and stood up. Okay, straightforward, as expected. You are all my brothers, Zhao Jixi. He knew that the brothers would take the matters of the breeding base to heart in the future, and he would not have to worry about this part so much in the future. It's not that he is a hands-off boss, but there is basically no problem in checking the reports. Brothers, let's go. He raised his glass and said. Sister Yu was watching this man from the side. She felt drunk when she saw his heroic look. Sometimes men who don't take money as money are really attractive, especially among this group of men. Everyone knew about the documents. Those who have money can pay some money, and those who don't have enough money can just do whatever they want, just for the sake of showing it. Several people working in the Chinese system certainly couldn't use their own names, so they filled in the names of one or two relatives. Zhao Jixi would help them get an account in the United States, and the dividends would probably be kept in it. Everyone had no idea how much money this project could make. If they knew that they could make tens of millions of profits every year, they probably wouldn't be so calm. The risk of spending these money that was not obtained through illegal means was much safer than spending those that were obtained by asking for help. Moreover, having money would be of great help to resist temptation in the future career. Unlike some people who received too much money, they could only break the jar and continue to make money. After another night of hangover, they woke up at Sister Yu's house in the morning. They had a sweet breakfast and set off separately. Sister Yu had something to do at her company, and Zhao Jixi was dealing with the aftermath of the breeding base and meeting Bald Kayang by the way. He was considered a local black force, and he was doing pretty well, mainly because he still had some principles. He would never reveal the boss, even if he was beaten to death, and he would never hesitate to take the blame when it was time to do so. This is why Cheng Fei and others contacted him. Otherwise, so many black characters would have been fattened up and slaughtered, but he was the only one who could live well in the city. Bald Kayang is a mixed race Han Chinese, and being tall and strong is a basic requirement. Bald Kayang also wears a big gold chain, and in the middle of winter he deliberately opened his collar to show others his dog chain. Bald Kayang entered the hotel and walked to the agreed box. When he got outside the door, he deliberately looked in the reflector outside and stroked his hairless head twice, making him look even more radiant. Then he looked at the two people behind him with a serious expression. Biozi, easy, when you meet people later, don't do anything embarrassing, don't say things that you shouldn't say, understand? When Easy was with Biozi, they both took him as the main person. Well, don't worry, brother Kayang, we don't need to worry, you have said it several times. Bald Kayang nodded and smoothed his mink coat. Well, I feel relieved when I say it several times. Well, among so many brothers, only you two can make me worry less. Let's go in together, and I will take you to expand your horizons today. Zhao Jixi and He Jiang were drinking tea in the box. Although Cheng Fei and Huang Zhanggai who had a deeper connection with Bald Kayang, it was not suitable for them to contact him. Lest they catch him, it would be bad. He Jiang was talking to Zhao Jixi about some things at this moment. Now that they were more closely connected, they could talk about some things. This Bald Kayang was arrested during the crackdown 3 years ago. It was a case of collusion that a special task force from the province came to investigate. Zhao Jixi knew what he meant by collusion, and it was probably that some of his friends had done something involved. Sure enough, He Jiang went on to say, Cheng Fei did something at that time, and he asked Bald Kayang's people to do it. The task force was shooting rabbits while robbing grass, and just happened to dig up this matter. This guy is a good person. He insisted that he did it. He was interrogated for several days. He tried all the methods used by the bureau, but he stood up and didn't say anything. Zhao Jixi was a little confused. Then how can he still be out there? He Jiang had a way to deal with this matter. The public security, procuratorate and courts in China require both physical and witness evidence to be complete before they can approve the arrest of suspects. Although he admitted it himself, there is no evidence. Even if he admitted it, it doesn't count. Haha. Zhao Jixi was a little stunned. When did China become so humane? He didn't even know there was such a law. Is China still so particular? Haha. Of course. Do you think only capitalist countries are particular? He Jiang laughed twice, then lowered his voice and said, this matter was so exhausting at the time. We didn't dare to ask outsiders, so we went into battle bare-chested. The result was finally satisfactory. Thanks to Bold Kayang's insistence, we had the opportunity to clean up the mess. Zhao Jixi nodded. It seemed that Bold Kayang was still a useful person. After thinking about it, it seemed that he could be counted on for this matter in the future. This person has a lot of human resources and sometimes he can be used. After Bold Kayang took care of it, he signaled the waitress outside the door to open the door. The waitress knocked on the door gently, and after getting a response, he pushed the door open and reported that someone named something was outside. Zhao Jixi and He Jiang asked her to call the person in quickly. Bold Kayang walked in with his people and saw several foreigners standing behind them. One of them was standing by the door and staring at them. What I was about to say just now was swallowed back. He Jiang stood up and said, I say, Bold Kayang, are you scared by this situation? Bold Kayang spit out a mouthful of saliva, carefully looked at the few people, and said to the two of them, really? Haha. Zhao Jixi and He Jiang both laughed. You kid, you are still afraid of people, it's rare. Zhao Jixi stopped laughing and said to him, Kayang, sit down first when you come. Don't stand. After he said that, Bold Kayang also responded and then found a seat and sat down. Why don't you ask the two brothers behind to sit down together? They are all guests. Zhao Jixi didn't directly ask Biozi and Heezy to sit down, but just said to Bold Kayang. The two are his people, and he, Zhao Jixi, can't just make decisions for them, lest he give people the impression that he is too overbearing and a little unsophisticated. After Zhao Jixi finished speaking, Bold Kayang immediately said to the two people behind him, okay, stop standing, you two come over here and sit down. Heezy patted Biozi, who was still staring at the bodyguard in the room. He came back to his senses after being patted and immediately responded with Heezy, hey, thank you, Brother Kayang. Thank you, Boss Zhao. Thank you, Mr. He. After sitting down, Biozi muttered in a low voice, I really broadened my horizons. What did these people eat to grow up? Even a woman looks so strong. He Jiang waved his hand to signal the two to be polite. Sit down. He Jiang and Zhao Jixi chatted with Bold Kayang for a few words. It seemed that neither of them regarded the bodyguard in the room as a real person. But the three people on the opposite side always felt a little uncomfortable. The pressure was already quite high, and now there were so many black and white people, the pressure was even greater. After chatting for a few words, Zhao Jixi looked at the three people and pointed at Heezy and Biozi. Are these two the brothers who helped with the work? Yes, they just came out yesterday. Guang Tao Kayang nodded in response. Zhao Jixi immediately smiled, picked up the wine glass and said, okay, you did a great job. I have to toast you with this glass of wine. The two looked a little flattered and quickly stood up and said, no, this is what we should do. Well, at this time, even the words were a little confused. It was a heroic act, and it was all what we should do. Haha. But the effect was good, and several people at the table laughed. These two guys are a little confused in their brains, and they made the two bosses laugh. Guang Tao Kayang raised his glass and said with a smile, no, I like this kind of quality. Simple. Zhao Jixi held his breath and wanted to say something, but he felt that he had no words, so he just blurted out a word. It was really a pity that he could think of this word to evaluate the black characters. The two sides were so happy chatting that they started drinking. At the banquet, Heezy and Biozi were busy pouring wine and lighting cigarettes for the three big guys, and sometimes they didn't care about themselves. But this also made the two feel more at ease. Sometimes it was quite stressful not to do anything when eating with these big guys. Zhao Jixi drank happily, motioned to Eva to take 2 envelopes, and handed them to Hezi and Biozi. No more words. Everything is in here. Don't talk nonsense. Just take it. I didn't treat you to the dust receiving wine. You must accept it. His attitude was not to be refused. The two looked at the boss. Bald Kayang gestured, and the two of them took it with a silly smile. He quickly said, "Thank you, Mr. Zhao." Zhao Jixi waved his hand and said, "It's just a little bit. No need to thank me." As he said that, he took out another document and motioned to Eva to hand it to Bald Kayang. "This is the breeding farm I plan to invest in under Haddon County." Bald Kayang took it and saw that it was a share transfer document. He carefully read the contents inside and then couldn't help looking at Zhao Jixi to see what he meant. "I want to invest in some projects here as a way to start a business. A few of my brothers have joined together to invest, and the initial investment is about 60 million. However, there are some things that we can't always trouble them with. This is a 2% stake. You take it first, because there will always be things that need to trouble you in the future." Chapter 555, Achievement. Guang Tao Kayang was silent for a moment and glanced at He Jiang, who also nodded slightly. Over 1 million yuan came into the account all at once. Let's not talk about whether it can make money or not. Now it's free money. And if he doesn't take it, it won't offend anyone, but it will definitely make Huang Zhangyu and others unhappy. Guang Tao Kayang was also straightforward and immediately said, "It's not a trouble. How can it be a trouble? Mr. Zhao gave us a meal. We are so happy that we can't wait. How can we feel it's a trouble?" Then he took out the pen he carried with him and wanted to sign his name on it. "Wait." He Jiang stopped him for a moment. "Go back and sign the names of your other relatives. In the future, this dividend account will be in a private bank in the United States. You can decide who to write it to." Guang Tao Kayang thought about it and knew that there were several meanings in it. In addition to leaving him a way out in the future, he was afraid that the people on their side would be exposed to the fact that they had contact with him. He also nodded immediately and said, "Hey, thank you, Mr. He. I'll go back and think about it." Then, taking advantage of the joy, the few people toasted each other again. Bald Kayang was also good at drinking. His 2 younger brothers were big-bellied and could drink, but they were far inferior to Zhao Jixi. Once the cheating device was used, anyone who encountered it would be knocked down. They drank until about 10 o'clock, and the banquet was very enjoyable. Zhao Jixi was still refreshed. At most he smelled a little bit of alcohol. The others were his bodyguards who helped to get them back. In the next few days, Harvey brought his lawyer team and the local lawyer team recruited by the Cheyenne Cheo to the city. More than 20 people went to Haddon County for negotiations, and the city also sent people to communicate. With the support of Huang Zhangyu and other local factions, things went smoothly. Zhao Jixi had no intention of taking advantage, and he would never give the herders less compensation, because he was worried that the county would find a reason to deduct the compensation for the herders. In addition to the county's share, he took out more than 2 million yuan, which was equivalent to the county's share, to compensate the herders for his occupation of their pastures to a certain extent. In this way, each family can get about 20,000 to 30,000 yuan, and the herders are very satisfied. To be honest, the land is not theirs, but their ancestors have grazed on it. Although it is not legally theirs, it is theirs in terms of social relations. The county dare not oppose this, otherwise the people in their hometown will definitely come out to scold them to death. This is to overthrow the lower class herders. They don't have much money, but there are many people. No one can control them when they make trouble. The Celestial Empire emphasizes that the law does not punish the masses. So many people are making trouble. It must not be the problem of the country and the bosses. It must be the problem of the local officials. So the result is nothing else. The bosses will only say kick them. Others can only evaluate these people as incompetent dog officials, especially in this multi-ethnic integration area. There are really many people who can stab people with knives. Unlike other rural areas in other places, some officials are given to village heads, and they pull a group and beat a group. In the end, all the benefits go to other officials and bullies. Farmers have not lost any benefits, but have to suffer from environmental pollution. After Zhao Jixi got the money, the negotiation speed was much faster. The masses' problems were solved, and the officials felt much more at ease. Zhou liked to get more land and bigger land. No matter whether he needed it now or not, he would take it first, because he would need it in the future. In Hardin County, together with several subordinate banners and settlements, 30,000 acres of pastoral land were created, but half of it was waste grassland. This included sloping land, hills, and desertified land, which could no longer be used for grazing without transformation. Zhou himself didn't care, but Harvey thought it was a good condition, because he was not the one negotiating. In the contract price negotiation, he could negotiate a lower price with the county government. The code of conduct for professionals is to obtain benefits for their employers. Harvey faithfully implemented this condition and always took it as his motto. After 2 days of negotiations, Zhou's side finally contracted 30,000 acres of land at a price of 1,300 Chao coins per ring per year, of which only half was fertile pastoral land. According to the calculation here, about 15 mu of land is equivalent to 1 gong, which means 1 gong is 1 hectare. Zhou didn't bother about the name. Anyway, it was 30,000 mu. He had to pay 2.6 million yuan in contract fees for these lands every year. The county government was so excited when they saw this number. In the past, every mu of wasteland was wasted, but now it can bring more than 80 yuan of income to the county every year. More than 30,000 mu is more than 2 million. The county didn't need to discuss it. They just hoped that Zhou would contract it for as long as he wanted. It would be best if it was for 1 or 200 years. However, although Zhou was willing, it was not a loss-making thing after all. But Harvey and others were not stupid. If the business failed in the future, it would really cost a lot of money to hold this contract. In fact, Zhou originally thought so, but Sister Yu reminded him that, even if he couldn't do the breeding business in the future, he could transform half of the waste grassland into arable land for rent. After all, that half of the land is indeed wasteland in the contract and in reality. According to the National Grassland Protection Law, the holder can transform it. She has already inquired that the rent of cultivated land on the grassland can be 400 to 500 yuan per mu per year. As long as he rents out part of the land, he will not lose money. Adding the lease of other land, he will definitely make money. But the threshold for these things is actually quite high. In terms of the rate of return, it is better to invest in something else. The profit is much higher than this. Buying and selling financial products can also make a profit. There is no need to come here to blow the wind or be careful about not collecting rent. This matter also requires a lot of investment in the early stage, and it must comply with the use of only wasteland for transformation. In the case of illegality, pasture land can be transformed into cultivated land, but this income is really not worth it compared to the income from breaking the law. Rich people will not do it, and people with less money are not stupid. In addition, there are risks in transforming land, and conditions must be negotiated with the local government, district animal husbandry bureau, etc. For those people, the risk-return ratio is not proportional, so of course they won't rush into this. Zhou didn't worry. His space could guarantee that the land transformation would not only be successful, but also be done in the cheapest way, almost free of charge. After careful calculation, Zhou felt that this business was a sure win. Tens of thousands of acres of land and an annual contract fee of more than 2 million yuan were really a piece of cake for him. Chapter 556, Breeding Costs. The annual yield of alfalfa planted on 1 acre of fertile land can feed about 3 cows, and pigs plus other ingredients are almost enough. After deducting all expenses from each cow, if it is calculated based on normal disasters and no diseases, each cow can make a profit of more than 4,000 yuan. Zhou can make a profit of more than 40 million Chao coins a year by raising 10,000 cows. This is still the normal price. Zhou's breeding cost is of course lower than that of ordinary people. Not to mention healthy cattle, sheep and pigs. Just his green and feed-free livestock will be sold at a higher price than the average, and it is normal to make 2 to 3 times the profit. Of course, he would not tell Harvey and others about these things that use space. He only talked about the insurance strategy that Sister Yu reminded him of before. After he got biological recognition, he would say that the rest was his own biological research and development and transformation. After Zhou calculation, Harvey did not agree with doing such a low profit business, but Zhou was the boss, so of course he had the final say. So a 50-year contract was signed, with the right to add more years during the contract period, and the right to renew the contract after expiration for future generations. A 10-year clause was added to ensure that Zhou had the right not to contract every 10 years. In other words, he didn't have to pay money for this contract, and the county thought it was okay. After all, more than 20 million Cheyenne Chao coins for 10 years was not a small amount. In order to sign this investment, they had to agree. However, Zhou was required to pay the full 10-year contract fee in advance. The contract fee after 10 years could be paid once a year, or delayed for 3 years. This was also a reservation clause Zhou left for his future descendants. If something happened, and he had no money all of a sudden, could he get the money by delaying for a few years? If he really couldn't get the money, he would have the opportunity to transfer the contract in his hand. When Sister Yu heard his idea, she had been laughing at his naivety and paranoia. With his conditions, he still had to worry about the funeral of his children and the future. If he had to worry about this little money, his family would probably be ruined. Zhou took the girl and whispered in her ear, "I plan to leave part of the shares here to the child in your belly in the future. If nothing else, at least it can ensure that the child will not worry about food and clothing for the rest of his life. If I die in the future, this will be inherited by him or them." Sister Yu patted Zhou with a blushing face, turned her head and said, "What about them? How many more do you want me to give birth to? I only want one, and you can give birth to the others by yourself." Zhou laughed twice and put his hands on the 2 peaks to tease the smiling cherries on the top. "We are only responsible for sowing, and you have to do the breeding." Then he kissed her. "Let's plant the child now. Don't wait for me to go to the United States, and I still have to do my homework." The kiss lasted for 2 minutes, making the woman blush. "Give birth to your sister." Sister Yu patted him shyly after kissing Zhou passionately. Sister Yu also knew what Zhou meant. She herself was a successful woman, and her money would be enough for her children to live a good life in the future. Zhou didn't need to give the child anything, but he thought that he was the father of the future child anyway, and he had contributed to the cause of having children. Let him leave something for the future child, which could be regarded as fulfilling the child's father's wish. In fact, Zhou also had another meaning. He didn't know whether he would give up the importance of money in the future so that he could marry a wife who didn't need him to be careful and didn't need him to worry about whether to sign a premarital property certificate. If he really had it, the child born would definitely inherit his greatest wealth. He was also trying to make a casual move for the future that he didn't have. Zhou then used a domestic headhunting company to find several senior management of the future breeding base in the next few days. After a series of interviews and other inspections, he finally got together the people he needed in the early stage. The next step was to set up financial supervision, which was done by his team. Then he persuaded a few brothers who were not in the system to set up a board of directors to supervise the operation of the company at ordinary times. Zhou also agreed that Guan Taoqiang sent a person with a clean background to the board of directors, and the boy immediately became happy. Being involved in gangsters is not a career that can be pursued for a lifetime. He has already been imprisoned. He hopes that the next generation can have a good reputation. What happens in secret is another matter. At least in front of outsiders, he must be a person who has nothing to do with gangsters, a clean businessman. He wrote one of his children into the gang, and the child's mother is the legal representative. He has hardly told anyone about these 2 people, and even his subordinates don't know about this person. Huang Zhangyu knew about it, and could only say that Bold Qiang was very courageous. His move was also a complete surrender to this group of people. Of course, to the outside world, Bold Qiang only helped them do things for money. Zhou, intentionally or unintentionally, built a network of relationships in this city, and made their relationship closer. In the following years, the influence of this force in the local area gradually deepened and expanded. Zhou Jixi had invested 30 million yuan in the early stage, and more than 10 million yuan was given to the county government as a part of the contract fee. In the future, another 10 million yuan of contract fees will be given to them one after another. The remaining money was used to build a ranch. Fences, houses, livestock housing, irrigation systems on the farm and other modern breeding equipment were all built up slowly. His gradually mature team is now able to help him deal with follow-up matters. According to the national conditions of each country, the team will also recruit a group of local think tanks, so that they can better understand the local area and do the tasks ordered by their boss, that is, Zhou Jixi. Zhou Jixi was very satisfied with the workability of the team behind him. He was freed after only a few days of busy time. When he had time, he strolled around his own grassland and began to release the vitality of the earth to make his land more fertile. As for those abandoned grasslands, he also released a little bit of the vitality of the earth. Just wait for him to slowly transform those lands. Find some land for transformation at will, or send some transformation soil from the United States. Then, the vitality of the earth was added to those lands, and the land became fertile, which was a very reasonable and normal thing. Things went smoothly. He stayed here for more than 10 days. Apart from this investment and the constant efforts to have a baby, he just drank and had fun with his buddies. Time seemed to pass very quickly at this time. Chapter 557, Arrival at Zhonghai. The plane rushed into the clouds and soared in the sky. Zhou Jixi looked at the blue sky and white clouds by the window, and his vision seemed to be looking at the city on the ground through the clouds. The ranch has been settled, and the senior management personnel have been recruited. With them as the skeleton, they will slowly add flesh and blood. In fact, there is nothing big in the first month. It is mainly to build fences and staff dormitories. By the way, the transformation of more than 10,000 acres of waste lawns will begin. Truckloads of organic waste fertilizer will be transported to the ranch for storage, and then the nutrient soil that the boss got from the United States will be mixed and spread on those lands. Several senior executives of the ranch Xinping also know that they may need to sprinkle nutrient water in the future, and they heard that the cost is very high. They are all imported from abroad. According to their opinion, why can't they do it in China? It can save a lot of money. But the big boss disagreed, and they had no choice. It would be strange if Zhou Jixi agreed. The so-called nutrient soil and nutrient water imported from abroad don't need to cost him money at all. The nutrient soil is really mixed, but it is matched with a little soil from the fertile land in the space, making this nutrient soil worthy of the name. Bring it back and mix it with organic fertilizer to eliminate the lethality of organic fertilizer to plants, so that the plants will not be burned by excessive nutrition. Needless to say, nutrient water. Add some of the authentic nutrient water he prepared with the water of vitality, and this thing will be done. He only has to pay a little freight for this trip, which is a high cost compared to purchasing domestically. How can it be as comfortable as his left hand to get the right hand? This will be a long-term job in the future, and it will be regarded as solving the employment problem of some local people at the beginning. There are people coming to the ranch to work every day, and the wages are paid every day. This money can really make the herdsmen have a good year. The buildings where cattle, sheep and pigs live will be handled by the American design team. Zhou Jixi wants modern, clean, sanitary, convenient and simple. The specific construction team considers local recruitment, and they send people to cooperate and supervise. In the future, the cattle will be imported from the United States. They are bulls that have been transformed on his farm after mating with cows here, although they will degenerate a lot, and the meat taste is not as good as beef from American farms. I believe it is still better than those beef outside. And he will transport a batch of cattle every year in the future, so that the calves bred by the previous batch of bulls will not have their genes degenerated in the next generation, and become ordinary cattle again. As for why the genes are not fixed, it can only be said that Zhou Jixi is not stupid, and he is not naive and stupid to that extent. Every good breed is a good breed in his own hands. In addition, the urine in the Celestial Empire, I think it will not be put here. Zhou Jixi put down his thoughts. He came here to play for a few days. He didn't expect that he would contract such a piece of land and build a small breeding ranch in the Celestial Empire. Sometimes life is always full of surprises. He doesn't dislike such surprises. If he has money to do what he wants, he will do it. There is no need to worry about suppressing himself. This is the life he wants. But he turned around and looked at Sister Yu, who was sitting next to him. At this moment, this woman who had accompanied him for quite some time was flipping through a fashion magazine in her hand. Her black and shiny hair was tied up on her head, and the white hair on her neck made people think of some embarrassing things. Zhou Jixi reached out and held Sister Yu's hand. Sister Yu couldn't flip the magazine because her hand was held by him, so she turned right and looked at Zhou Jixi. "What's wrong?" Zhou Jixi looked at her and said softly, "I'm so sorry for not being able to accompany you these few days." Sister Yu didn't expect him to say this. She smiled slightly and touched Zhou Jixi's face with one hand. "Sleeping in the same bed with you every night and seeing your face when I wake up in the morning, I feel that these 10 days have been very fulfilling. But at least I won't be annoyed by you for a short time." He felt something was wrong when he heard it and muttered to Sister Yu, "It was originally very good. If you didn't add the last sentence, our relationship would feel very good. We can even be called a couple in love." Sister Yu changed the hand that was touching Zhou Jixi's face to pinching his face and said, "Forget it. When you sleep, you like to fart in the quilt, and you like to pick your nose and wipe it casually. I won't talk about other small problems and small problems. There are so many things that I can't count them with one pair of hands. This is still a short time. I don't take your shortcomings seriously. If we really continue to live like this, I can't imagine what our passion and romance will become." Sister Yu sighed. He was stunned for a moment. Love is beautiful and romantic. All the shortcomings during the period are just a little romantic in the eyes of the other party. But life is realistic. Shortcomings are bad habits and representatives of bad behavior. When you don't learn to tolerate each other's shortcomings, long-term life can only make passion and romance die. He held Sister Yu's hand and thought for a while. "Yes, although I don't know what you do in the bathroom, shaving is definitely not very romantic." Zhou Jixi nodded and said, "Also, don't use that kind of mask next time. I brought you the set from the United States. You can use the product extracted from all plant essences. The effect is guaranteed to be first class. Go to hell." Sister Yu twisted Zhou Jixi's waist and stretched back her hand on his face. "You're the one who shaved." She pinched him again, feeling unsatisfied. "I think your 3No product smells good, but I'll test it on the skin on the back of my hand for a week before I say anything." Ouch, dear. Zhou Jixi's muscles didn't feel much pain, but cooperating with these little habits of ladies is a must-learn lesson for a good man. "Okay, you try it first. Try it first." The plane arrived at Zhanghai very quickly, and the time passed quickly while the two of them were playing. When the plane started broadcasting, the two of them stopped playing. They walked off the plane hand in hand, followed by 3 assistants and 2 bodyguards, and the suitcases were arranged by other bodyguards. The 3rd and 4th sisters already knew that Zhou Jixi was coming to Zhanghai, and they ran to the airport to pick him up when they saw the time. It is said that they were a group of 10 people, and they also sent the company's cars over, and also drove out the Raptor F650 that Zhou Jixi sent back from the United States. There were several cars, one of which was a Raptor that could hold 8 people, and another one was a large off-road vehicle from a wedding company, which was usually used by cameramen and directors, and could carry quite a few people, plus a red BMW driven by the 3rd sister. The Beetle driven by the 4th sister was more than enough for them. Zhou Jixi didn't want to make the mistake of not having a car to pick him up, and then have to take someone else's bus to the hotel. He felt a little embarrassed when he said it, and it really didn't fit his behavior pattern. Recently, he was thinking about whether he should hire an excellent housekeeper and an excellent assistant. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.